Okay, I thought Evan was going to have one, but he's not having one, so I'm going to have one. Anyway, listen up. Welcome. Howdy and aloha. Uh, who knows what we're going to talk about tonight? You're on Monotalk with James. I'm James. You can call me Jim, Jimbo, Jimmy, whatever, just as long as you call me. Welcome to Monotalk, by the way. There's a word, or my mono word, right? The power word. Tonight, I was going to talk, it was going to be responsibility or priorities, but I wanted to discuss, I think I want to discuss resources. And I think that's an important word because it kind of plays into a lot of things. And in order to do certain things, you have to have resources. One of the greatest resources that's out there, according to our culture and the way things work in the world, by the way, we'll be talking about city, state, federal, social issues, domestic, foreign, just all kinds of stuff. Who knows? I'm sure it'll be fun and good. We probably will talk about Star Trek Discovery, which in Rotten Tomatoes was 83%. I just thought it was stupid. I didn't even watch it anymore. It just don't even get me started. But I think resources kind of plays into this because everybody needs to have resources. And one resource, the biggest resource that I know that we have, is each other. Okay, which people kind of don't get sometimes. And I think it's important to know that if without you, there's no me. And without me, there's no you. And it's good that we kind of, hi all. Hello. Hey, Red Economics, Eric, Evan. Hi, guys. All right. But there's also other resources out there that are being used by a lot of people. One of the other ones, besides each other, is this great and wonderful, beautiful planet that gives us so many different resources to live and stay alive. That's why one of my goals is to save our Mother Earth, which has been giving to us forever. And we're starting to really treat it like shit. And that's something I think we definitely need to take care of and fix and turn around. And I think if we put the right people, or the right people that are other resources, into the right positions, and if they have the proper resources, then they can do what's needed to help reverse this effect, or at least from what I'm hearing, the best thing we can do now at this point is to slow down the effects of global warming. Okay? The footprint, man's footprint upon our planet. Okay? And there are two parties right now. Hey, Dom. There are two parties right now that have a great amount of resources. They have big resource, money, influence, power, influence, money, power, influence, and all those times 10, to the 10th power. It's just insane and endless amounts of it. While other parties, and there's, I don't know, 50 or 250 of them from what I'm hearing that have been popping up within the past year because people are all over the place, are trying to get resources, people, power, influence, money, marketing, advertising, all these things that are necessary for them to grow. On a small scale, it's a small, minute scale. Let's just say it's a relationship thing. Me and you. In order to function, we have to have resources. In order for us to be able to do what we need to do to be together, we got to have that money resource, of course, the job that provides that for us, an income, so that we can do the things that we need to do. Somebody's got to pay for something. If you want to have food on the table, roof over your head, quality bed sheets, and a nice comforters with a great atmosphere for your evening pleasure. Anyway, you have to have these kind of resources, and you have to prioritize properly and stuff like that so that you can get all these things that you need. But right now, in regards to this country, these two giant parties that actually, sorry, this one giant party posing as two, I call the two-party oligarchy. Some people will call it a deep state or the shadow government or whatever you want to call it. But they have endless amounts of resources that some people don't have. A lot of us don't have a lot of what they have. There are others that have a good amount of resources. Our goal is to get those resources so that we can better take care of each other and this planet. So, with that being known and said, things can move forward. We can go in the right places, do the right things. We just have to have a goal of making sure that we have the passion and we have the love and we have the trust and the honesty and the foundation to build what we need from the resources that we try to bring to help us. They're like tools. We got to have these tools to do the things that we need. And I think it's important that we look towards getting the proper resources and doing the right things in our marketing for not just this show, but after hours and anything goes. Tech Talk with Snork. Evan's got some good shows. Red Economics got some good shows. Independence got some good shows. We got a good show coming up with some great people coming up with Garden Gnome. But we're getting the resources to build. Whether you think we're not, we are. We have to. And I think we need to do that, not only just us as a group, but us as a nation of the voting republic and constituents out there that are with the party. I'm actually a registered Green, and I'm very I sleep well at night knowing that I'm with a party that actually is moving in a better direction, or they stand for far more of the things that I'm really looking towards for this country and this planet. They just need to stop using word jumbles to explain what they're freaking trying to present. Gah. Anyway, so it's all about resources, guys. All right, so we have a good resource here. I'm going to get the stream on. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's get to our destinations. Do what we need to do. Let's get her done. You know what I'm saying? And let's use the resources that we have. Let's get this team moving in the correct and proper direction. And that's all I have to say about that. Anyway, y'all, welcome to Monday Talk. Howdy and aloha. And mahalo for everybody being here. Let me just grab the Zoom meeting. Oh, you guys know what happened? Is Stand By Me, the song I played last night. And the reason why I'm on tonight, because I got the boys Friday night. So I won't be on. So I'm going to do tonight and tomorrow, and then I won't be on Friday, but I might be on Saturday. And I apologize for that. But things, I've got to have and do the right things, using my resources properly so that I can do this and do that and take care of this and take care of that and do this and do that and all this and this and that and this. I should make a song. So last night we got my video got shut down because the copywriting on Stand By Me. But they didn't do it on the B-52, which is very odd. But I think there's a way we can get around that in the future. All right. Sorry, I'm babbling now. Okay. Zoom meeting. I'm going to get the link right here. Invite. I think, oh, wait. Let me see if I can do that. And I'm just going to see if I can do the copying the invitation. Yeah, don't get me started on fucking Star Trek Discovery. Fuck. Jesus. Man, that's... It's like you have a ton of money just because you're a producer and you can find all this dough, And then you just think, you know, I got a bunch of money. Let's fuck this up. Let's fuck that up. Let's create a terrible theme and a bad plot, and just editing is lame, and do some, and it's just either they should have taken acid when they did the scripts, or did at least a fucking sack of mushrooms or something. Probably would have been a good idea, because you know you don't want to be, or too much coffee. They had too much fucking coffee. Anyway, all right, let me post this. I'm gonna see if I can do something real fast, and I think it'll work. Give me a second. Just a second. Oh, I'm gonna be on till 12. Maybe a little after tonight, guys. Just letting you know, because we're late. So I'm gonna be on till 12. I promise. I promise. This I promise. There's no fucking song for that. Promises in the dark. Burp, 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 burp. Okay, so hang on. I'm just going to do something fast. Okay. Oh, fuck. There's that. There's that. There's the word. The fucking song is here. It's cool.
If you write anything on your computer, you need to get Grammarly.
I write pretty much all day.
Hold on. That could screw me right there. This is a remake by some girl named Mary. It's not the actual song. Alright, so we're going to have that on. Oh shit, that could be it right there. Okay. Get to the good part. I'm posting it. I'm posting it. Hold on. Un momento, por favor. Okay. Damn it, James. I know I'm not moving fast enough. Sorry. All right, there it is. It's in Zoom host. I'm gonna put it on the stream. Here it comes. It's all about resources, people. Gotta have the resources. By the way, money is a resource. It's a tool. Go out and get some. Use it. Use it to the benefit of taking care of the planet. If you have to work for fucking, let's just say, what is that? If you have to work for, you know, a coal company, a fracking company, or whatever, just use it right now. Get the money you need. Put it in the places of work, and those resources can better take care of what we need to do. You know, you gotta have money. You gotta work. You know, it's just the system that we have. That's the culture that we have. Okay. Okay, here. All right, so what I did is I'm playing that on. I'm playing the music on Mozilla, because last night. Let me turn it down. Sorry. Okay. I'm playing it on Mozilla. So now I'm telling them I'm playing it on Mozilla. The problem is it's on my. I turn it. Okay. So yeah, did you see that last night? They just because of "Stand By Me" by the Drifters. Last night they shut me down. They gave me a copyright thing. So I fixed it, and it's weird the way you fix it, because they know the song. It like pops up something. You use this song, so you can't, and then you can delete it. So it takes it out as much as possible, to where it's interesting technology. It takes it out as much as possible. You might lose a little bit of you here and there, but it was really trippy, the way that happened. So what I'm thinking is, if I go through a different account through Mozilla, they won't fucking find it. Because if you go through Google, I think they'll find it. Because Google and YouTube Like a Google Chrome and YouTube are kind of synonymous, right?
It's the YouTube algorithm. It knows to look at certain waveforms or certain images, repeated or video snippets. It's all in probably some type of database somewhere where it does a comparison. So it doesn't matter where you play it.
It'll pop up no matter. It'll catch it.
Yeah. The interesting thing that I always wondered about is things like songs in movies. Now, copyright, and I've been doing a little bit more research on this, is the thing about using like 30 seconds or whatever is not necessarily right, because you could play something for like 1 or 2 seconds, and if the algorithm catches it, then you're going to get a copyright strike.
Right.
What the thing is, I'm going to use the Orville as an example. So the Orville is played by Fox.
Right.
21st Century Fox or whatever, but the company that produces it is Seth MacFarlane's own. It's not his company. It's the guy who does Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
Seth Green, maybe,
Seth
or
Green.
something.
Seth Green. Yeah.
Hi, Dominic.
Not Orville. Orville's not Discovery. Sorry, I got that mixed up.
Yeah.
The Orville's cool. Sorry.
So if you want to get a copyright license, you don't go through Fox. You have to go through the company that produces the material. But also, if they ended up playing music, like for example, in one episode they play, they're about to play the Titanic song, or they play the snippet of the Titanic song. So what I always wonder is, if you play that episode on a live stream and that music comes on, do you also need a license for the song that they play? Because I don't think the algorithm really knows that it's from a show that's playing the music from there. So sometimes I think for where it gets iffy, especially on YouTube, where how they handle all this copyright stuff through their algorithms, is you would have to get a license from probably the company that makes the Orville, and you would probably also have to get a license to whichever company produced the Titanic, or maybe you'd have to go with whoever made that song, where they probably got a license from that. So it always has to boil down to the origin of who owns that license.
Shit.
Yeah, but all you have to do is, and this is what I'm trying to do with Candlelight Media,
right,
is to get as many copyright licenses as possible. Set up a website and list all the copyright licenses it's allowed to play. So anyone who puts in, just say, affiliated with Candlelight Media, go ahead and use Candlelight Media. And if you get a strike and we have that copyright license, point them to the site, and it'll list all the licenses that we have rights to.
Or before we even put it on, we can list it in the notes.
Well, it doesn't look for the notes. I mean, they're going to probably give you a strike anyway. But then when you reply saying, "Oh, we've got a license to play this," and you give them a link to the website, and they can look at the website and saying, "Okay, yes, they have the rights to play it." Okay. So,
what about
that
porn?
will get around.
What about porn? Is that a totally different?
Yeah, that's totally different.
Just saying. You never know. Candlelight Media.
So I'm wondering if you guys heard this news a while back. I haven't been following news lately, but I think I'm starting to pick up a little bit more. So in Massachusetts, it was a big deal. I think it was a month ago, as a state trooper pulled over a lady. She's around 30. She was on heroin. She had twice the amount that for drunk driving, and the state trooper that pulled, she ended up being the daughter of a judge in the state of Massachusetts. And so when she said some things like, to the state troopers, do you know how many BJs I had to do in order to get that, which is the heroin, because she got busted for having possession of heroin as well. So what ended up happening is the judge
BJ's
blowjobs.
Okay, just want to make clarified. Yeah. Could be.
But she didn't say that word. She said the C word anyway.
Barn job, or it could be like maybe she had a barn job, then maybe she had a job working in a barn. Just never know.
So the judge, her father, contacted the highest person for like the state troopers, and that person contacted a lady who was in charge of the state trooper at the highest level, and they pretty much ordered the person or suggested to that state trooper to modify the arrest report, so it omitted the things she said, so it doesn't look bad. It just doesn't look bad. He didn't, because him and his boss, the sergeant, was saying, you know what, if it wasn't a judge's daughter, this would never happen. So they got reprimanded for it, or have like a negative review. They didn't really get suspended or anything, but eventually this whole thing got out. The state troopers sued the state because it was it ordered him to do something illegal. And so those two highest ranking police or state troopers, the police in the state of Massachusetts, stepped down and retired. Whoa. And so today there's a new head, lieutenant, whatever, for state troopers that got appointed today. But you don't hear that. I don't think you guys heard that, especially in mainstream media. But I mean, can you? So for one, do you think that's? I mean, that feels like corruption, right? You're using your power of authority to tell lower level state troopers and whatever to do it not the way it's supposed to be done, but just because you got a little bit of leverage of power.
Oh, of course. That's just like I was just saying that in my monologue. It's power of influence, and it's used everywhere. And sadly, she used her powers. Anyway, everybody has their power of influence, Evan. But yeah, it's everywhere. The movie, what was the movie? King Kong Ain't Got Nothing on Me. That was with I forgot the name of the movie. The Rookie? No, was it The Rookie, or it was the one with Denzel Washington, and where he was a cop and he was
Training
using
Day.
Training Day.
Yeah.
I'm close. Training Day, where he was using his influence just to corrupt the entire city. And that happens everywhere. We see it everywhere. But for sure.
Also, Tech Move, and I think someone Fly, we were talking about it. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. The Minix. It's basically Intel. Any non-enthusiast CPU from Intel from 2008 to now have a exploit where you can pretty much take control of anyone's computer remotely, as long as you find out their IP address and if they have active management. So the active management interface. So there are things where you could turn it off, especially from Windows. It doesn't get rid of it all the way. So basically, since Sandy Bridge, which is about like i5 2500, all the way up to like the latest generation of Intel chips, even the enthusiast chips for the very latest, which is the i7, i5, i7 70 or 8600K, 8700K. They have it. You'll know by if you're looking at Intel, you'll see vPro support, and if there is vPro support, that means that's embedded within the CPU, and it talks to the motherboard's North Bridge, which just has another microprocessor embedded into it, which does things like turn it on if it's off, wipe out your machine. Is mostly used for like corporations where they might want to just make sure that they can take control of your machine remotely without having your login password, all that secret. It's just at the very basic level of your machine. Anyways, it was a big deal like 6 months ago, I think. But it's also something that really doesn't get a lot of attention. You can find out more, especially on YouTube videos. I think Security Now has a good one, video talking about it and how the exploit works. You can actually see exploits in real time on certain YouTube videos too, of how they can get into someone's machine that has it. So that's also something interesting, which I'll maybe touch more on Friday.
No, I like touching on it now. The problem is we can be touched by hackers in us. I mean, if they have our IP address, that's all they need. Fuck.
Yeah, that's pretty much all they need. They just need to find your machine. If they have access to it, then they can control it.
Shit.
So, yeah, but it depends on your.
What about any firewalls? I mean, what about any FUD? No, there's FUD. Okay, here's a good question, and I think I use Spybot all the time, and then there's another one called EMG or something. But as far as security for a computer, you guys heard of Spybot, right? Everybody's heard of Spybot? Tell me you guys have heard of Spybot. Dom, you're shaking your head.
Sorry, man. Nope.
Okay, well, what is the best security system? I mean, I don't want to pay. There's free ones, and then there's ones you pay monthly, or you can pay one-time fee. But would even these security systems even do anything?
You see, I avoid all this by not putting anything that's of any personal value to me on my computer that I don't have to. And I make sure to purge it constantly after I buy something. So, like, it would take more effort at least to dig up a credit card number or something on it. And I try to avoid buying things online simply because of that. You know, I'm not really a person who's really into buying a bunch of crap to begin with. So,
do you buy stuff online at all? Have you ever bought anything online?
Well, of course.
Okay, well, there you have it.
You know, but between that and my bank and whatever, I mean, I think there's enough there to keep anyone from draining it. I don't keep any of my personal information or my tax information on it. I think that's what everyone should do. If you wanted to do that, keep a separate PC and then just put all your personal data and your taxes and all that crap onto that. Buy another laptop.
Here's a question, Evan, since you're the computer guru. Like I'm saying, I use Spybot. It kind of cleans out stuff every once in a while. It's a free service. You can donate to them. Have you ever heard of Spybot?
No, not really.
What is it? What is a good one then that's out there? You have for your computer and all your system, you have to have something that you're using. Is it bad for you to even say what it is, or?
No, I don't really use anything really. It's just a matter of
maybe
practice.
You shouldn't have said that. You should have said, I have the greatest security system that money can buy. All you fucking hackers out there.
I don't really have critical things. I mean, if someone has, I don't store like passwords within like files. It's all in here. They'd have to have some type of like keylogger in order to figure out my password. I don't have any like sensitive files that I keep. Pretty much the things that I keep are like my photos and videos of like my past, like my kids, my dogs, vacations, that stuff that I want to keep around for the future. It's like there's really nothing that I have that I'm worried about where that people would steal, except for maybe like my cryptocurrency stuff, which is all offline cold storage anyways.
Okay.
So they wouldn't be able to access it. Plus, it has a large um, password in order for it for you to log into the wallet. All of that is backed up anyway. So that's pretty much it. So I don't really worry about security issues all too much. If someone wants to get in your machine and take control of it, they'll find a way. Just the routers that most people use, there's exploits people can use for your routers. Basically, almost all store-bought routers. There's I forgot what it's called, but everyone has it. They can just anyone that wants to gain access to your network can bypass the router through that exploit, and then of course once they get your IP address, they can figure out other ways to get through. So if someone that really wants to get into your stuff, they can. If you really want to be secure about where you're going, browsing, whatever, I'd say the best thing to do is just to create a virtual machine and
what does that make? Create a what?
A virtual machine. So it's basically an OS within an OS. Like basically, you're using a physical machine to create a virtual one. Mm-hmm. It uses the resource of the physical machine, but the thing is, you can reset it, snapshot it, so all your configurations. So you may not have any sensitive data to it, or if you get your VM infected by some software virus, it's only affected at that level. And you can just go and delete it or snapshot your VM back to its original state. If you say you open up email from it, and you're going, it still doesn't protect you from like spoofing. Like if you go to a website where it looks like you're at your bank and you're putting in your username and password, like they collect that data when you press the OK button. I mean, that's not going to stop you. It's just you have to have the knowledge of what's out there, what you should and shouldn't do. Because you can have the best security system, antivirus in the world. It's not going to stop you from getting stuff onto your machine just by. I mean, if you're not paying attention of what you're doing, is what I'm saying, I guess.
Yeah. So what you? Well, the NSA and ATF and CIA and the FBI and our own government can at any time hack whatever they need and want at any time. So just already knowing that fact, you feel like, who the fuck cares then? I mean, what as far as net neutrality,
that's kind of where I'm at, dude.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so what? You know, I mean, why should I pay $10 a month or $2 a month for some amazing firewall to keep people out when the only people that are actually that already have access are the people that fucking are fucking us up in the first place.
Yeah.
My company provides me with like all the, a bunch of anti-spyware and anti-hacking crap. So it's all downloaded in there already. And so, I mean, it's professional level. I don't have to go out and buy anything. As far as the government spying, I mean, nothing, we're not going to be able to stop that. So who cares? They're collecting everyone's data right now. There's really nothing we can do about it. Mm-hmm. It's not something I worry about a whole lot.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know if you guys, this probably happened like 3, 4, 5, I don't know, whatever years ago. Probably maybe 5 or 6 years ago in past, where I'd always get these like, hey, we're going to, something would pop up on my screen as I'm going into some site. You've been breached by something and you need to have some kind of security check, and I fell for it a couple times, and it was fucking spamware, just worming into my system. Telling me that I need security. So I'm like, oh shit, okay, sure. And then I'd upload their stuff, and next thing you know, it's embedded deep in my system, and it fucks up everything. It fucked everything up. So nowadays, I just don't see that much anymore. Is that because of Windows? The Windows I have, because Windows protects some stuff, a certain amount of spam, and then I also have, what is this, ad block on my Google, which is important. I think is good, and a few other things. Go ahead.
I mean, for certain ad stuff, really, it's okay. But I mean, it's also the way that Windows kind of blocks certain sites is based on the certificates. So if a site, registers their certificates, you could be thinking that the Windows thinks it's a safe site to go ahead and navigate, and you could be navigating there, and you won't see anything that pops up saying that it shouldn't, unless it's on some type of blacklist within, like, say, Windows knows about with their Windows Defender, or you have like an antivirus software that knows that that's a blacklisted site. So I mean, if someone's smart enough to, basically, it's the easiest thing in the world to probably steal information or someone's identity just through their machine, especially with non-power use. I consider myself a power user, so I know what I can get into and not get into, what's safe, what's not safe, just because I've been through it all. But for just an ordinary person, I mean, you can, if you're not careful, and even if you are kind of careful, you have all these little, checks and software that you're protected. People can get you pretty easily if they really wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, again, the best solution is just not to keep anything that's of any value on there. I mean, they can glean parts of your personal data, but if you avoid keeping things like your social security number off of your computer and things like that, it should be all right.
Like, what about if it's in your email? I mean, I've sent information. I mean, what the hell is that noise?
Guard is testing stuff for TYT.
Yep, it's justice. That's the alarm. That's the notice. This is the Justice Democrats portion of the show.
He's even got the whole all-seeing eye.
Oh, you know what this is? It's an Amber Alert. Amber Alert, multiple counties, refer to local media.
They kind of abuse that Amber Alert system a bit.
Yeah. It's I'm like, what is it for now? They're going to start selling shit, I can guarantee. They're going to go, they're going to start selling, like, cars.
Well, they're using it for things like if a parent, like, takes their, I mean, I don't know. It seems like they're overusing it a bit, and people are getting the boy who cried wolf syndrome because of it, and they're ignoring some of the Amber Alerts. You know what I'm saying? They're doing it too much. There's a lot of those cases where it's just some parent who has partial custody who, didn't bring their kid the same day that they were supposed to.
Yeah, and dad took him for the weekend instead of just for the same day. It's just some domestic fucking crap, usually. Yeah, see, look, Boyle Heights, Los Angeles. 15-month-old boy and a father who abducted him in Boyle Heights. See, that's probably what's going to happen. Sorry, but most of these are Hispanic. We get a lot of Hispanic Amber Alerts.
Yeah. I think that there's also a difference between, sorry, getting back on the previous thing, is the difference between being surveillanced, having your machine hacked into by, say, the deep state, as compared to being hacked into someone who wants to get your money. Right. The Frank Abagnale actually had some type of talk or interview a month ago He's the guy from Catch Me If You Can who used to write all the fake checks.
The fake checks, yeah.
So he says it's a lot easier today than it was back then, because back then you'd have to, make your checks from a certain printing press that was like $1 million. You'd have to be pretty skilled at forgery. But nowadays, with just technology, you can sit at your computer and get all the information you need. Like people still write checks to this day. People could get your account info, your routing number, your name, your address, all that stuff through the internet. That check has your signature. You can easily order checks, use your name, and so you could sign your name on the check, but it's using someone else's account number.
Right.
You could just write checks like that and get and buy things. Even like people you give your credit cards to, they could take your name, your credit card info, your 3 numbers, 4 numbers on your back, and order stuff online. That's just someone from, say that, from Burger King or McDonald's or something like that. They just get access to it.
So many ways.
Gas stations seem to be a big one too.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of ways to do it. It's just getting away with it is the thing. And most people aren't smart enough or savvy enough to do that. But the basically Bitcoin and alt currency changed the game, because that provides a lot of anonymity of money. It's like very easy to what's it when you cycle money, so you can't launder money.
Launder it.
Yeah, it's easy to launder money, not know where the money's going. That's why all this ransomware is the biggest thing with security these days with your machines. Is basically they infect your machine and encrypt everything. You don't have the decryption key. So what they do is they say, and it'll show on your machine, is send this much Bitcoin to this Bitcoin address within, say, a week. Otherwise, you won't have access to your machine.
Computer,
so it's
your
something.
PC.
Yeah, it's something small. It's like $500.
Ransomware. That's weird. So they don't hold people hostage. They hold your
data, your
machine.
Yeah.
Wow.
So and so basically, and the thing is, they hold up to their bargain because they want the money and they want to make sure people end up paying them. Otherwise, no one's gonna pay them because they know they're not gonna give the decryption key. So it's basically all automated anyway.
Right.
You send the Bitcoin money, your Bitcoin to the address. You get the decryption key. All your files are safe again. They've actually, what's mostly been targeted were like police stations, local police stations, because a lot of them aren't kept up to date. They don't back up their data, and of course it's all local jurisdiction type of stuff where they want to make sure that they get access to it. Otherwise, they're kind of shut down. No one does hard copy these days. There's even a doctor, I think I saw on Twitter or YouTube, there's a doctor who's like 86 or something years old in some town. There's a mandate where you have to have everything, like prescriptions and stuff, has to be on a computer system into a central database. Because of the whole opioid problem, they don't want doctors giving out certain amount of medication and where they can't verify within like the state. So they pretty much shut her down because she wouldn't do it, because for her it was just, anyone who can pay me $50, I'll go ahead and treat whatever you have. That was her thing.
Wow.
But so it's getting to the point where it's really easy to target a lot of places where they don't have their own IT department. Someone who can say, hey, this isn't safe, or hey, we should install these precautions. That way we don't, if we get infected, it doesn't spread throughout the network type of thing. Everything's backed up. So if it is encrypted, we just get rid of everything. We already have the data, and we just restart. So
I just got to say, in the information and technology age, it's it seems like the hackers are the people that can get in and that are working at this. I mean, imagine you're 12 and you say, you know what, I'm going to be a hacker, and you start learning how to zip through and manipulate and move things around, and then you become just a pro at it, and the government and companies and services out there are constantly battling against these people, and it's just keeps stacking on itself, stacking. It's getting they'll find a new way to get in, so they have to put a new type of firewall. They find another way to get in, they have to put a new type of firewall, or a new type of system, or it's just constantly, like a never-ending cycle.
well,
It's just you can't just put something that just works, and that's we've got the ultimate firewall, we're done. That'll never happen.
It's always been that way, though. If you think about locks and lock pickers,
Even in the physical form.
Yeah, in the physical form, they have a lock pickers. It's kind of like a contest. It's kind of like they have a hackers contest,
Right.
every year.
Yeah.
So there's these two people who are like the best lock pickers in the world. So they have these multi-million-dollar safes that are in casinos, safes that are in banks, and they study it and figure it out, and they could it takes kinds of like a few days, weeks preparation to figure out all the mechanisms. So when they want to show off how to pick that lock, they do it in like 30 seconds.
I know the feeling. Reason why I'm saying this, because I used to repo cars, and I also used to work for full service car rentals. The company's not around anymore, but that kind of the transition into repoing cars was good for me, because we used to have competitions with our Slim Jims. They call them, you know what a Slim Jim is? Anyway, for repoing cars. You'd have a kit, and then we used to time each other on how long it would take to get into a car. The easiest car ever to pick into, I'm going to tell you guys right now, the easiest car, there's so many cars right now I can get into that are on the road where I could unscrew the antenna. Okay.
Is that a Honda Civic?
It was Honda Civics were really easy back in the day. They're a little harder now. They're way harder now. But the Chevy Chevette was just probably the easiest thing ever to get into. But there were a lot of cars that were tougher. There were some cars that, and they have YouTubes. If you guys go to YouTube, you can see this shit. But when we were in this company, in the repo, but in the company, we used to freaking have competitions. See how long we take our Slim Jim and time. Oh, dude, I did it in 8 seconds, you fucker. It was that fast. It was crazy. So yeah, so they do that now with how to hack. Do they do that now in a sense with how to hack?
Yeah, but people get a misconception that some hacker can just figure out a way to get into your system with just nothing. The thing is, they have all these scripts that they write ahead of time, and all they do is just try to they use all their scripts in order to hack something, especially something specific. But or they'll just have.
What do you mean a script?
It's like a program, their own written program.
Okay. That's trippy.
So, I mean, it'd be like having like a lockpicker's tool with you. Like, you have a trench coat, and you've got a Slim Jim, you've got like.
I think I'll use one of these, right?
Yeah. So that's basically what it is. Is hacker has their own tools as well.
There's a brand of car out there that if you poke a hole in a tennis ball, put the hole over the key slot, and slam the tennis ball, it pops the.
I've seen that in a movie. I think I did. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
There's all kinds of stuff. I know how to break into my truck. It's not. I got to wedge the door, but it's on YouTube. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like you could get information to do anything.
I know. Yeah, I don't think there's anything you can't not know or learn But how do you fix a nation? Is that? Let me see if that's on YouTube.
There are some things that if you search on YouTube, it's noted.
Really? I'm gonna type that in there. It's a question. How do you fix a nation?
Noted as in they preserve that data within your IP address type of thing, Snork, or your
As in, certain organizations get notified if you search for certain things.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. You got to be careful what you're looking for. How to create a nuclear bomb. Flag, 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 flag. Oh, we got a live one here. Phil, come here. Check this guy out. Okay. How to fix a nation. Yeah, there's nothing in there on how to see. That's kind of sad. There's nothing in YouTube on how to fix a nation or a country. My God. Because nobody knows right now. Everybody's fucking clueless.
Go out into the streets, have huge marches. I mean,
I think I already know.
I like the whole situation in Catalonia or in Spain about Catalonia is that they're actually marching. Like we haven't marched for anything in a long time.
I know we haven't had a 1,000,000-man march. I think the biggest march we had was the Pussy Hat. Was that the Pussy Hat March? That was really
You mean the Donald Trump, like anti-Donald Trump marches type of thing?
Yeah, they had a couple of them, but nothing too big. Yeah, we've become complacent. They're appeasing us just enough so we're just like, fuck it.
Snark says, don't Google Ternian Galate. What is that?
Don't, whatever it is, don't Google
Why'd you even say it?
Don't look it up.
I know, and then Evan says it.
I'm gonna put it in.
Now I'm on the fucking...
You're gonna put it in.
Now there's a flag for Montauk. There's a big fucking flag. Thanks, you guys. Oh, check these idiots out. Hey,
Someone Google it.
Phil, come here. You got to see these guys.
Yeah, I could start up a VM, VPN in.
What the fuck?
And go ahead and Google it.
Find as many vectors as we can cross as possible on this channel.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what Jank is paying us for, to shut this shit down.
You know, there's been some things that... Where's Kevin been, by the way? There's been some things that Kevin has said that I'm just like, careful, buddy. You know? Because he's like,
yeah.
Oh, I just want to stab him. We should put them all in a guillotine. Blah, 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 blah. Fucking just chop their heads off. It's just some of the stuff he said, man. I'm like, even though I'm like, careful what you're saying, I'm really inside fully agreeing with you, Kevin.
All right, so what's your thoughts on Star Trek Discovery? Why do you not like it?
I only watched a little bit of it, and I was distracted by something else that I was doing. Hey, Red, or Stevie, whatever your name is. I thought that they tried to make this new captain into like the main new character, when I think they should have. I didn't like the guy in the fucking. He has like a ball sack face. You know what I'm saying? The guy looks like a like. Have you seen his face? You know what I'm going to show you a picture of the guy's face. What's he?
They should have just made it its own series, man. That shouldn't be part of the Star Trek. They're greedy.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Star Trek? I was wondering because I just came into. He has a face like a ball sack, so I'm wondering what the.
No, but you know who I'm talking about, right? The Star Trek guy. He's They just tried to make her into a hero like too fast. It's just like they didn't, introduce the characters properly. I thought. I don't know. It's just, what's the guy's name? He's a Klingon? No, he's not a Klingon. Look at that. It already knows what I want to fucking pull up. Oh my God. That's kind of scary. That's a little scary.
Dude, Google knows you better than you know yourself.
I know. That's very scary.
Same with Netflix and Facebook,
So her name is Sonequa Martin. And then Michelle Yeoh was there for a little bit. But who's the fucking... Let me see the characters. Did you watch an entire episode, Evan? Has anybody watched an entire
I saw 2
I haven't.
episodes of it.
What did you think?
That it shouldn't have been its own franchise. That it should have been its own franchise, man. Like that whole what they're doing does not fit within the Star Trek universe. It'd be its own decent sci-fi franchise, but it just doesn't belong in the Star Trek universe. Michelle Yeoh, she's I've liked her in a lot of things.
Yeah.
They probably should have kept her, but they killed her off.
I know. Fuck.
And then, and then the writers, some of the comments they've made outside of the show are somewhat annoying. Like, they're on the anti-Trump train, and they're like, we wrote the Klingons to represent Trump supporters. They straight up said that, so you got that. That's, just kind of takes away from the show in its own little way.
Yeah,
How is Trump anything like a Klingon? I
Here's
mean,
the ball sack.
Trump supporters.
Sorry,
Trump
Stevie.
dodged the fucking draft, man. And then, like, you've got Klingons, they're all about battle. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and then, no. Even Trump supporters, there's no, what's the comparison there? I don't see the likeness.
Well, for God's sake, can we get away from it for 5 minutes in any form of media?
Yes. Please. I mean, like, the whole Trump narrative is so overdone. I mean, yes, we get it. He's a giant orange Cheeto. We get it. He's fucking racist and terrible. Like, I wish we could have entertainment for the sole purpose of entertainment instead of just this propaganda BS that they keep pushing on us.
Good point. Okay, I put up his face but if you look at his nose, what does that look like? His nose. What does his nose look like, everybody? It's in YouTube.
Voldemort?
No, I'm talking about the guy, this whatever his name, I forgot his name. He's the...
Well, that thing is, I don't remember his name either, but that thing comes from species, that has 2 sides to it, right? One side is a predator side, and the other side is a prey side.
Is that a Cardassian?
No, I don't even remember what the name of the race is or what the character's
No, but
name.
his nose looks like a vagina.
It all looks like a vagina.
No, and his chin looks like a set of ball sacks. Oh shit! Sorry.
Okay, when you said that, there's more than one character that fits.
It's an omni character.
Depends on the temperature.
Jesus, man, Snork.
It's getting bad. We're getting filthy.
I already warned everybody.
James and your damn degeneracy brought up that picture, and it all just went to hell.
But it's just the stupidest looking fucking character I've ever seen. Yeah, see, look at that. What is that?
Yeah.
Oh,
dude,
that was from that one show. I liked that show. What was that show that came up?
I know what you're talking about. Falling Skies.
Falling Skies. I like that. I really liked Falling Skies, and I thought that was going somewhere.
Oh, it's from the wrong show.
No, they
that
just
was a good one.
looks
That was
a
from
lot like
Falling
a character
Skies.
from Falling
That
Skies.
is the character.
Season 3.
Yeah, that was a great show. I like that show.
I think I wish they would have slowed it down, but like every season they skipped far ahead and things were totally different.
Yeah. But it was all about the son and the dad and the librarian.
Yeah, well,
the dad / librarian.
he was a historian, not a librarian.
Anyway,
but
he
what
played a librarian in a different.
Yeah, in a different show.
Yeah.
But what I liked about the concept of the first season is he's a historian, and basically he knew a lot of his war strategy based on history, and in order to defeat the aliens that were invading, he would bring up historical strategies that worked in the past and apply them to fighting the aliens. So I like that concept, but then they kind of did away with that after the first season.
Yeah. Well, it got ratings, and I think it just stayed on for a good time. And I thought it was a pretty cool show. And then it got kind of weird towards the end.
Yeah.
There are so many. I don't know if you guys. There's nothing. The only sci-fi that they have out there is there anything like super sci-fi that's out there right now.
Anything Black Mirror is if you haven't seen any of the Black Mirror episodes, they're pretty good.
Stranger Things with those kids I hear is doing really good, and I've seen a few of those.
I just finished Stranger Things season 2. It's just pretty good. It's not really sci-fi; it's more fantasy.
Yeah.
But some definite 80s nostalgia in there. I love it. I love it. I love Stranger Things. I binge watched that like within the first day or two. And now it's like I gotta go another year without it. You know, they know we binge watch this shit. They need to plan for that.
Well, at least you'll know that they're making 4 seasons at least, possibly a 5th season. So.
Oh, I saw something on Reddit. It was like the climax of like season 4, and then it had what's his name? The 2 boyfriends that that one chick had, Karen, I think. And they were in an elevator and they just started making out. I'll find the clip for it and I'll put it in the comments. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know if there's really too many like real big sci-fi. I think it's hard for sci-fi just because the effects cost so much and take so much time.
I think it's because of Rick and Morty. Have you guys ever watched Rick and Morty? Anybody?
Only a few.
Okay, the reason why I like Rick and Morty is because it's so out there. Multi-universe, nothing really fucking matters. It hits some pretty deep levels. But if you watch, what are they on their 3rd or 4th season now? But it's pretty. There's hack and slash, there's gore and blood and all this stuff. But there's some political innuendos in there. There's some political. They get kind of apolitical, and then they kind of slam, like they slammed Israel the other day. Why the fuck would anybody want to take care of those people or something like that came up? I'm like, what?
Well, Cartoon Network is pretty notorious for pushing boundaries and talking about politics and stuff. I mean, I think I mentioned it on here before, but there's a show called Clarence that they had action figures of the Supreme Court justices, you know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg and all this, and you know, different stuff. I mean, if you watch it, you'll see a lot of that stuff leak through. More of a Democratic narrative propaganda than Republican, but you know, they try to co-opt that, you know, put that into kids' minds, you know. But you know, Rick and Morty's on Adult Swim, but you know, same thing.
It's not for the kids, but I know a lot of kids watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get a chance, one of the newer ones that came out, but there's several that have came out, Eben and whoever, and you can see it on YouTube. They play them all the time. The new one that came up, and I keep saying it at work. I've kind of overdone it now, but it's Pickle Rick. Pickle Rick is awesome.
I still haven't seen that. I haven't seen anything.
Oh, you gotta see that. It's epic. I'm not even gonna tell you.
I keep seeing all these Pickle Rick references, and I still don't get them. I gotta catch up.
I would just say this, that I'll tell you this part. So they all go in the garage, and Rick is a pickle. He turned himself into a pickle, and then it starts from there. It's just like fucking cool, man. That's all I gotta say. It's pretty badass little episode. But they push the boundaries. The thing is what I'm saying is, what Star Trek used to do is they used to push the fucking boundaries, you know, in many different levels. You know, the guy was a total misogynist, no doubt, but I mean, they used to just, you know, in regards to race and religion and femininity, and he was James T. Kirk was a total misogynist, you know, totally. It was crazy.
Yeah, but the original Star Trek had the first interracial kiss, so you know, like
That's true.
Like what you said, you know, pushing boundaries, always, you know, going forward into that, you know,
to the unknown, and that's
unexplored area.
Yeah, I'm just not seeing that in any new shows. And The Walking Dead. Here's the thing about The Walking Dead. Okay, I like it, but I first season I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. Because nothing like killing zombies. I'm all about killing zombies. But what happened is it's just more zombies. It's just, okay, more zombies.
No, the prison, that whole storyline just killed it for me, because it's like, how did you fuck up the prison? How did you screw that up? You had a fortress. Literally had a fortress, and you screwed it up. You don't deserve to live anymore. Okay, this is natural selection at this point. Okay, and I quit watching.
Yeah, they have.
I still watch it. I don't know. It just gets to be same thing over and over again. They have to have mistakes, drama. Otherwise, they're just living happily. Nothing happens. I mean, the latest episode, spoilers, Shiva dies, a tiger, basically zombies kill a tiger. No. You get like 20 humans, even like, say, a whole football team, try to take down a tiger with their bare hands and teeth. It ain't going to happen.
So, wait, they had to fight a tiger? Just a tiger? Or there was a zombie tiger?
No, it's a real tiger.
How many zombies?
I think it was like 8 or 10 zombies just kind of slowly went up to it and started tearing it up.
I don't know, man.
That sounds kind of
like.
dumb.
Are you talking about a lion or like a tiger?
No,
like a lion.
tiger, a huge tiger. Tiger's the
like
biggest,
a 600-pound tiger.
See, they should have added zombified tigers.
I think a tiger would just take down a football team.
That's something to fight. A zombified tiger.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting if certain animal species also became zombies,
like monkeys, because they're closer to our DNA. You're welcome. You're welcome, writers. You're welcome, writers.
Or just like any number of creatures, like anything higher than like a squirrel or up, go zombie when it dies.
That's gonna be like
hellish.
Plot twist.
You know what
sucks? No surviving that world.
You know what sucks is if they had like zombie flies. You couldn't kill
Eric?
them.
Oh, we'd be fucked. That would be it. I mean,
we'd be fucked.
You see my little fly that likes to haunt me all the time.
What's up, Eric? You're gonna say something?
Oh, yeah, you won't believe who I got blocked by today.
Louis Mensch?
Yep.
Ooh.
I saw that. What'd you say?
I didn't, probably I said, like, Loopy Louise, because, the whole thing with the fake news, is pretty loopy.
You know what? I'm going to have to start paying attention to your Twitter feed because you're doing something right if you're getting blocked by these people. I can't get anybody to block me. I just got one person from West Virginia politician that refuses to add me to his thing. So it's like I gotta up my game, man. I gotta watch how you troll them.
I think I almost got blocked by Debbie, Sane Progressive Debbie, the other day.
I thought you were talking about Debbie Wasserman Schultz. That would be like a real honor. Lady Bird!
Yeah, we would bow down to you. We would bow down to you if that happened.
No, all I send her are tokens of my affection, money. She's got no reason to block me.
Like Amy. Amy does the same thing.
Hey, Kevin's on. Where's Amy?
I know.
But yeah, I was arguing with Debbie about Las Vegas and all that, and she kind of went berserk on me after a certain point.
Yeah, she's going in a different direction on that. And let's just say she's right. You know what sucks about her, I got to say, is 10 years later, she's usually pretty spot on. That's what really sucks.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like I just don't have enough evidence one way or the other on the Las Vegas shooting, but Debbie's spot on everything else. So, I mean, if I had to go either way, I'd go with her opinion on it. Even though I'm not with her right now on it. You know what I'm saying? It's like maybe later it'll reveal that she's right. But as of right now, I just don't think that we have the evidence.
Did you see the episode of us talking about it?
Yeah, I saw part of it. There was a few parts that I missed, but I saw most of it. Yeah, I mean, it's just like I kind of left it with I still don't know. It's like, I can see where they would use that as a false flag, or I could see where they could have, intervened and did stuff, but I still I don't know.
One thing I find very peculiar about the whole Vegas event is that some of the obituaries there were reprints from 2 or 3 years ago. So, that makes me wonder.
What do you mean reprints? It was just the same obituary?
Like they were already dead people.
Oh.
Hey, Amy, how's it going? All right, Amy and Kevin. All right, you guys have the floor. Go at it. Not what I expected.
Yeah, I don't like talking to liars that it can be proven it. Literally, video evidence of proof of lies.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all you have to do is follow the official story, and if it just doesn't make sense or add up, it's just not right, right? So if they can't even get the official story right, why should people believe them? You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of hinky questions there. You know, same with a lot of these shootings. You know, it just seems a little hinky, and they don't tell you everything. You know, if it was, I feel like if it was a natural event, that they would release all the information. But if it's not, then they would want to keep that a secret. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I just can't imagine anyone conducting an operation as bizarre and clumsy as the one that Debbie describes, or the ones that Debbie has described. You know,
I don't know. I mean, these people
tons of actors. You're letting shitloads of people in on the secret and whatever. I mean, it's just
the biggest thing for me is we live in a surveillance state.
Also take into account that there is literally records of the CIA and FBI spreading multiple different conspiracy theories. That way they can delegitimize the whole event. That way they can only push the single narrative they want.
If I go to my local South Station in Boston, just if you ever visit Boston, it's just where you ride the T, like you're at the subway, and you'll see those black camera things, you know, where it's just like you're in a casino. You see them like every 10 feet, everywhere, and that's just a subway system. And this is what a big Las Vegas hotel where casino where there's billions of money flowing all day, every day. It's like not one surveillance video showing anything. It's all
that place is so covered in cameras. They have video footage of the entire event from every aspect, from the very day he got there to the day he started, or whoever, where, or if they got shot, or you know where. Because apparently, like I've heard a lot of things where people were trampled during that whole stampede when people freaked out. So. I mean, and I'm not surprised by that at all, because we have a yearly event where we trample people in stores fighting each other over stupid shit. So people trampling other people, I'm not surprised about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Just because we haven't seen the footage, I mean, of course it exists, because like Kevin said, there's a gazillion, and like you said, Kevin,
the thing is wall to wall covered.
Cameras. But just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, or that there is some nefarious reason why they haven't released
it. Because if they released it, then it would go against their official narrative, probably.
Well, all this.
I'm laughing at what I'm actually looking at, but I'm not laughing at the situation that you guys are talking about. But I was just like looking at something. I just want to let everyone to know about that. But Hillary Clinton said DOJ investigating me would be abuse of power. She's fucking crazy. I mean, Hillary's gotten fucking. She's buying into her own bullshit like a narcissist.
The problem with Hillary is she believes her own lies. Like as she's lying, she really feels it. You know, it's like it's an illness. I feel like she's just almost even has an illness. Like she's so far gone at this point. I want to classify it as an illness, because there is something seriously screwed up when you willingly, knowingly rigged an election, and you can't come to terms with it that you fucked up rigging an election. You know, like,
well, that would be admitting wrongdoing, and that's in the Clinton rule book #1. Never admit wrongdoing.
Oh, for anybody interested, read the 48 Laws of Power. It is amazing. You can read that and see point by point exactly how Hillary Clinton's campaign, how she ran it, because she follows those rules to a T. You can see it. I mean, it's blatant. It was somebody, I forget their first name, but their last name was Green, that wrote it. But they have like a short YouTube videos you can find on YouTube of, 5-10 minute videos that explain the 48 rules of power. So, I mean, it's really fascinating to hear. sheds a lot of light on what our government does, you know.
And plus, she has like a bad temper apparently. Like, you know, like the night of the election, she was like really fucking hammered, and like also the night where she like the Matt Lauer asked her that question about the private server, and like, you know, apparently there was like a leak where she had like a meltdown and she insulted Donna Brazil, and like she said, you know, it's all on your asses and we'll all be in fucking nooses. Like, you know, honestly, it's like one of those like reports. It's like I want to believe, but at the same time, it's like with some parts, because some of it's like when she said, "We'll all be in fucking nooses," I'm like, what? Wait, what? What the fuck? Excuse me. Oh shit! Like, I'm thinking in my mind, what the fuck? Like.
So, what do you think the odds are that she's going to run in 2020?
I think she's going to run.
I think she is too. I mean, it's so stupid, but I think that she's actually going to follow through with it.
I think it's 100%.
Oh God, just let it go. Let it go.
No, then like the cult will get smaller. I mean,
could it get any smaller? Really? Who are the Hillary Clinton supporters at this point?
The people who
like
people
who
get
is supporting
triggered.
Hillary? Like
the Jeff Katzenbergs of the world.
Ugh.
There's
people that are done with identity politics.
Just go on. Yeah, just go on your Facebook feed. You'll see all the people who still support the Democrats and probably Hillary Clinton. Family members, friends, etc. They're still on that bandwagon.
Oh, Snork,
they're so dumb. It's going to take them getting set on fire before they realize, oh, this person's trying to fuck us.
Snork is just talking to his daughter, I think.
You know what? Going back to what we were talking about as far as Hillary coming out now saying that any investigation of her is going to be abuse of power. But that's just how crafty they are at spinning the narrative. If you look, and I don't think she's really crazy. She's pretty sly, you know, and they know just what they're going to say and when they're going to say it to start spinning people to think, oh my God, now he's trying to investigate the poor woman who did nothing. He's such a monster, you know. So we become the victims of her corruption.
As a victim, she keeps playing that victim card. It's like you could tell that she's playing that social justice warrior card. I mean, I see through her bullshit, and she's just using them.
Well, Eric, you're a racist and a sexist, and it was Russia.
Misogynist.
Oh, Hillary Justice Warrior. oh, they're triggered. Oh, I mean, she's using and abusing her power. What gives her the fucking moral authority to talk about power? I mean, look at her. I mean, she's oh, my power. Oh, abusive power. How about how much power that you fucking abused?
You know, I actually think Hillary Clinton running in 2020, and if she gets elected president, is a good thing.
I think everything would get set on fire real fast.
No, seriously.
No. I think you're into something, Yvonne.
Because so many people hate her on the right and on the left. The only ones who love her are the ones who are pretty much brainwashed anyway, politically. So the people who like or support Trump or against the, you know, drain the swamp people, they're going to be out protesting. Now we've got something in common. We don't want Hillary Clinton. Like, we didn't want Trump, but, you know, Hillary's a bigger problem than Trump. And so there's actually a lot more in common that we want out. And we're going to see a lot of things within, I think Hillary Clinton's doubling down at this point. And so she's, when she gets in office, she's 4 years late of everything that needed to get through. Right, her plans, her wars, everything. She's gonna be going as fast as she can to get what she needed to be getting done. Because it's not a promise that if she runs in 2024, she's going to get elected. So her first 4-year term is going to be helter-skelter getting so many things passed.
This next election coming up for 2018 and 2020 are going to be substantially worse than what we've seen in the past years, just for the fact that the federal government's pulled elections into their reins. And also, I mean, you've clearly seen the party officials, which parties on the whole is a different subject all entirely, but you've seen them. They've committed fraud. They've lied. They've purged anybody with dissenting viewpoints. Anybody that says making rich people richer isn't a good idea normally gets kicked out.
Here's the thing. How would it go if she ran but lost again? So it would only, I feel like if she ran and lost, it would only strengthen the Republican Party. But if she ran and won, it would demolish both of them.
Well, that's her goal. She is Republican.
What they've learned,
she's Republican through and through, man.
I mean, Democrats are Republicans too. It's the same party.
Mm-hmm.
What these parties have learned is that the American people will tolerate being cheated out of an election. So whatever cheating method you used the last time, they're just going to be ramped up this next time around if she runs. And they're probably, maybe this time we won't even see them because they'll be that much more careful about it.
Yeah.
And I think our biggest defense now, though.
No, everyone's going to fucking hate her.
Our biggest defense now, and I think this will have an impact on the election, is the impact social media is going to have. Okay? Social media is going to play a big part in the next election because more people are starting to wake up, you know, and if we can keep getting this out and spreading this through social media, that would say who's going to, you know, if the people are going to buy either one of their bullshits, or if they're finally going to come around and say, hey, we want this or we're out.
Yeah. See, here's the thing that's going for Hillary Clinton, and it's not good. This is why I think she'll actually get elected. One is if she doesn't go to prison, if Donald Trump doesn't put her in jail, everything that she's done, running in the past, private server, all her ties to the wars, all her ties to TPP, all her ties to Russia,
all her ties to worker incentivization, her ties to Walmart, her ties to attacking any sort of social safety net, her ties to labor unions, her ties attacking around the world.
We got it.
Multiple assassinations.
So anyways, the whole point is that all of that is like she can just say, hey, if all of that was true, I'd be in jail by now. Donald Trump already said I'd be in prison if he was president. I'm not. And that just everyone who hears that is going to be like, and whoever's already programmed already to like Hillary Clinton is going to say, hey, look, see, she's not in prison. Donald Trump was president. He didn't put her in prison. You know, all this other stuff. She no longer has a private email server that can't be used against her. So all these things can't be used against her anymore.
What does this sound like to me? Oh, a mafia. That's what it is.
Yeah. So I think she's going to be president in 2020.
Do you think that she'll win?
Fuck her.
Yeah.
I mean, she's already, well, I don't know, because she's already lost to Donald Trump once, and then she's already lost to Obama again. So it's like, is she going to win? But then again, like, she might learn from her previous mistakes of only halfway rigging the election and just rig the general as well. I don't know. I mean, that's the only way she's going to win. I feel like that's the only way.
It's public perception. I mean, the public is very, very stuck on what the mainstream media is saying, all this other stuff. I mean, basically it's just, look, she could just say, if everything that was said about me was true, I'd be in prison right now. It's not true.
And the other thing is,
but the things they say about her are true.
Is that they're trying to make Trump, they're trying to make Trump so toxic.
Yes.
That no one will vote for him. I mean, today, what was it? Drinking water. Trump asked for some water today or something, and this proves he's incompetent. You know, it's just day after day of the most ridiculous nonsense.
I mean, they're going to start reporting on his farts. I swear to God. I mean, I swear to God, like Trump has the smelliest farts. Like that's, I feel like that's like they already reported on he got 2 cups of ice cream. You know? It's like
it's stupid and childish. That's like they report stupid and childish shit. I took like Donald Trump, changed his socks. Cue the scary music.
Ooh, I mean, that's all that they're left with. They can't report on his actual wrongdoings, like what he's doing as far as war and all this other stuff, and how he's screwing over poor people. They can't report on that. So it's like he offended some rich liberal elitists. Like that's where we're at right now. I don't give a shit about this stuff. What I care about is he cut funding to help that helps Appalachian people. So it's like that's the stuff that I give a shit about. I give a shit that he's deporting people, same as Obama, but
actually no, he's not deporting people.
Yeah,
he's doing something far worse than deporting people. He's saying he's going to deport them, and then they go into a federal prison to work as slave labor.
Yeah, I mean that's
way worse than deporting people. I'd rather deport them across the border than stick them in a prison and make them slave labor for no wrongdoing of their own whatsoever.
I don't care how he offends my feelings. That's irrelevant. What I care about is how he's hurting people and who he's hurting and how we can help those people. But they don't ever report on that shit. They never report on that shit. It's same thing with George Bush. They bow down to power every single time, no matter who it is. It's really sad.
So okay, say Hillary's gonna win. Hillary's gonna run. That's for sure. I think she's gonna win. But the Democrats, do you think they're gonna support her like they did in 2016? Do you think Bernie Sanders is gonna support her? Is what's her name from Massachusetts? Elizabeth Warren gonna support her? Is everyone basically gonna fall in and support her again?
Of course, dude.
And they shouldn't.
So who won't? Like Tulsi Gabbard probably won't.
I don't know about that.
You think she might?
Well, we got at least 15 million.
Hillary versus Trump, dude. Who do you think Tulsi Gabbard's going to support? Hillary versus Trump.
She's
going to go third party. I don't think she's going to do that.
I have a question. Okay, is a Democrat allowed or a third party candidate allowed to challenge the nomination or challenge the president in this election? So is like if Jill Stein runs again, would she be able to challenge him, or if or even the same party, is a Republican allowed to replace Trump?
Yeah, but they usually don't.
Okay.
They don't run another Republican. The Republicans don't, at least.
Yeah.
Normally they try to play out this game as long as they can until people catch on.
The only way that could happen is Trump would say, I decided not to run.
Well, they're also trying to paint Trump as a non-Republican, like he's some kind of anomaly, so that maybe I could see them running another Republican against him.
No, I think they got the whole evangelist area touting Trump as the next chosen one, right? So they already filled that ship of Trump as being the Republican.
Yeah, I don't think that they could at this point. I mean, he already got so many votes and overwhelming support that I don't think that they would stand a chance if they ran another Republican against him. But I definitely want to see who they're running as a Democrat, because it's going to be a dumpster fire, whoever it is. Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton.
But they don't. The Democrats never run a lot of candidates.
Mm-hmm.
They usually stick to like 4, 5, not very much. But Republicans still run like 13, 15 candidates. Democrats always seem to have a small number of nominees running, and then it whittles down after each.
It shows you how much
last election. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It just shows you how much of a Democrats are really like a cult.
Yeah, but I mean, like this last election seemed a little bit different, because I feel like the Republicans had like 20 different people running, and the Democrats had 3. You know, it's like, I mean, it was a joke at one point. Like the Republicans had so many people running, and then we just had 3 basic people.
But I think what we have to focus on now too, though, is trying to get the third-party candidates in on the debates. You know, because that's the only reason that we're talking about Republicans and Democrats, because we know nobody else really has a chance. And
you're referring to the artificially created threshold that was never put into place until the parties took over the. They basically exiled the League of Women Voters from doing a fair and impartial election and debates, and basically took it over for the parties.
What we need to do is,
you can make a constitutional argument against that, because their parties are not in the Constitution whatsoever. They have no right to integrate themselves into government whatsoever. And that's what they're doing by taking over debate commissions and taking over election commissions and things like that. That's unconstitutional.
Well, it doesn't matter with people in charge. They could do anything unconstitutional.
The Constitution is literally supposed to be interpreted by the will of the people, not by the politicians. A politician can only delegate what's been delegated to them from the public.
Well, they hold every position, even the Supreme Court, which is
criminals.
Basically,
Everything they do is criminal. I mean, look at what Hillary Clinton gets by with. Look at what George Bush, Jr. did. I mean, he committed war crimes. This dude should be in prison. Hillary Clinton should be in prison. All these motherfuckers should be in prison. Like, they're all breaking the rules. They all are. But because they all are, it's like the I am Spartacus. It's like, I committed treason, and you committed treason, and we all committed treason. So, and we're all molesters, according to Hollywood. So it's like, nobody can be punished because we're all guilty of it.
Yeah,
even though we all smoke weed, most people smoke, or at least tried it, and yet we get thrown in prison for it. But these motherfuckers can. I can't.
We used to promote weed, grow hemp for victory. We literally used to promote it, and the drug laws were completely based on a lie. Every little bit,
and fake news too. It's all fake, all that, anti-drug propaganda, and now they
literally made a whole entire section of laws completely based on bullshit. They literally cracked it out and threw it at people they didn't like because, you're against making me rich and stealing money from the country and outsourcing and trying to destabilize everything. You're against that? Well, now we're going to make pot a crime, even though we used to promote it. I mean, it's like the fucking height of hypocrisy here.
A lot of things that they're also doing is kind of knowingly admitting that they're and joking of the stuff that they're getting around with. Like, look at George W. There was like some event when he was president saying, "Yeah, we're still looking for WMDs in Iraq," in a joking way. There's a video of it you can watch.
I saw that, dude.
Yeah,
it reminds me how Hillary fucking laughed at the whole thing with Gaddafi.
Yeah. I mean, even Obama joked about drone striking people. It's like, that's not a fucking joke, dude. You're taking people's lives. Like, do you not understand what you're doing when you do these drone strikes? I mean, of course they understand it, but it's like this cognitive dissonance. Like, they can't think about it because then they feel bad, and feeling bad's for poor people. Rich people don't have to feel bad. You know what I'm saying?
It just shows you.
The really funny thing is. Yeah, James is right. Obama joked about Flint water. The motherfucker sat there, took one sip. Oh, this lead-filled poison water is perfectly fine to drink. Now get me out of here. Where's my clean water?
Well, there's other examples of it too.
There's enough guns in Flint that fucker would have been killed, and all the fucking people around him too.
There's a lot of other examples too, like Feinstein. One time, like, she got up in front of this crowd or something. I don't remember the exact circumstances, but the crowd was basically howling for her blood. They didn't like her, and it was like a room full of 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a line of Secret Service people or security people in front of her, between her and the crowd, and she sat there and just kind of mocked them. Like, she kind of like gave them the fake wave. I mean, she was being super snarky. And I swear to God, man, if like we lived in a different day and age, she would have probably been overwhelmed by those people. It's just the arrogance.
I'd like to go back to a point that Kevin made a little bit earlier. Where the Constitution forbids what's happening with these parties, because I think that point will be so much better received right now that the people can see that Hillary bought the DNC. So Hillary, in effect, is buying an election through an unconstitutional or attempting to buy an election through an unconstitutional entity.
Yep. It's an entity that's not supposed to be a part of government whatsoever. It's supposed to be a party. I'm kind of against parties altogether, but if a party is supposed to be, it's not supposed to be connected to the government. It's supposed to be completely people. That's what it is. It's not supposed to be some corporate fucking entity. You know, and they've turned it into a corporate entity, and they've integrated it into legalistic bullshit. You know, it's like it just shows you. It's the fact that the League of Women Voters, it's an organization, a group, but it wasn't a corporation, and they ran and controlled the elections, and they brought other people in. That what was it? Ross Perot, I believe it was, before my time. But when he got to a certain percent, they brought him in, they put him on stage, they allowed everybody to have their words. And that's normally where a lot of the public, a large chunk, get to see the candidates for the first time.
You see, that's where what a lot of our revolution and those people don't seem to understand is like the internal conflict within the DNC is more like an internal corporate takeover than it is like a democratic or electoral process. Like the shareholders, the vast majority of them are not going to have a say.
It is a corporate takeover. It's a coup.
It's only the people at the top who are going to decide how it pans out.
And so this is why Donald Trump is going to probably still be the Republican nominee, because it's the same thing. Like they didn't want him to run as a third party or independent if he didn't get the Republican nomination. If he leaves the Republican Party, it's pretty much assured that the Democrats, Hillary Clinton, will win. So if Donald Trump is still running as a non-Republican, as a third party or independent, he's gonna get a lot of votes, I think, even though the Republicans won't support him.
I do want to bring attention to the Green Party vote count there. If you look back for 2012 and before then, the growth rate barely cracked 0.5, and then for 2016, from their previous run for 120,000 votes, 340,000 votes they received, and then this time they received 1.3 million. Yeah. So that's a 3.4 growth rate. So that jumped up compared to the last two. Yeah, and normally that's how things. When they get introduced to people, you always got a small group of people that kind of spreads it little by little, and then it kind of spikes up a bit. Then you get another group of people that start spreading it little by little, and that spikes up again. And then once you hit 2 or 3 million, you can get an expansion pretty fast.
Yeah, but still, in order to be okay for a next election cycle, they need at least 5 million votes.
Well, if they got another 3.4 growth rate, that's 1.3 times 3.4. That if they keep with that track, if they don't fall behind, because for the past 3 runs they've done, each time their vote total has increased. So they are gaining traction, as small as it is.
All right. So if we don't want Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump in 2020, what's a strategy to use? Do we try to get people not vote in any of the primaries? Is that like the main goal, is to show the primaries as a sham?
Are you asking me? Please ask me.
Anyone? Okay, you, James.
All right. So here's what you're going to get. You're just going to get a replacement that's going to do the same shit. Doesn't really matter, honestly. I mean, even though Hillary was, connected to everything Saudi, oil, fracking, bullshit, prisons, you name it, the list is her laundry list, her shit list.
If you tried going through that list, it'd probably take you about 10 hours.
Yeah, a couple of days, definitely. So, and then Trump, but see, if you get rid of Trump, the Republicans are so fucked up anyway. So these two parties, it doesn't matter. So just the two parties alone have really absolutely nothing to offer the voting republic. They really, that could be helpful. That could be helpful. That could do anything. That could help us evolve as a country, as a more intelligent country. It's just they have nothing to offer. It doesn't matter who it is, because they're just going to do. They're at the the controls of the 1%, the corporations, big pharma, coal, oil, name it. So you're just going to get the same. I mean, I was just saying on the chat. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, just what you were saying, James. I think that would be the strategy for the Green Party. And you combine these conversations here. You look at the point that Kevin brought up that we're saying, it is an unconstitutional entity controlling who's going to rule the free world. Okay,
right.
Green Party could jump in, point that out, and say, just the point that you were saying. You got two sides of the same coin. You can't depend on either one. You need somebody that's going to listen to you and do the things that are going to save the planet instead of destroy the planet. And what they're doing is unconstitutional, and that's how they could start getting their publicity and start getting their talking points.
They're not listening to us.
I think, yeah, I mean, they're not. But you know what? I think I've got an idea. We're going to create our own polls. Like, how they have different pollings from like the mainstream media has for companies. Well, we should create 5 or 6 polls, and a lot of the polls that we have are going to be people who support third-party independence. So when they see the polls, and if independent media can say, hey, look, the polls are looking good for third parties, try to get everyone to say, look, hey, this is actually could be a year for third parties. And we're actually seeing more votes going towards whoever's a third party or independent candidate than they are for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. So keep this whole anti-mainstream media narrative, their outdated polling system, which isn't accurate, which we can always
fake news. We could call it fake. We could call it fake news polls. I mean,
exactly.
Because they're fake news anyway. Honestly,
Eric would be correct. Quite a few of them had been grossly wrong, and it only takes about 5 minutes looking in their polling methodology to know if you're intentionally lying.
And their historical record, we have all that. I mean, all of that's there for us to relook at, and so basically, we use a new polling system, and it will be a little bit more accurate. And then when it's actually maybe it's a test run for 2018 is a good idea, is actually running these polls online and telephoning, of course, just having a more of a demographic for polling, and that can be used as just a criteria to motivate people to see that, hey, look, people aren't just voting for just a Democrat or Republican. There's a big chance that a non-Democrat, non-Republican is going to win. And when people do that, they'll actually vote, because when you have this perception that, hey, it doesn't matter what you do, it's already, look at the polls, it already says that so-and-so is going to win. Yeah. The only drawback is those polls for Bernie said he would win, but of course it didn't go his way. So maybe
it didn't go his way because it was rigged because of that fucking cunt cheated.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if you look at the exit poll results before they canceled them, he got more votes than she did.
Yeah.
There were surges that were actually spotted on MSNBC that could not actually happen without somebody just typing in the actual number. Surges of numbers that were coming in for Clinton. All of a sudden, she'd be at like 250,000 votes, and the next thing you know, Bernie's like at 255,000 votes. 5,000 more, and then next thing you know, 20,000 votes come in for her within like a second.
It was
on MSNBC. It was nuts.
Debbie LeSigman documented all that stuff. It's on the election what was it called? Election blog post or word post, or what was it? Election blog post or word post at wordpress.com.
Yeah.
She put it on one of her videos for a link. I know she has it for her site, but she actually made a site and documented all that, and she has every single one of them documented. Every single polling result for almost all the states. Actually, so she was meticulous.
Here's what's interesting. What's interesting about polling. I'm just saying. The interesting thing about the polling, which always gets me, is a while back, maybe a few decades ago, a poll would come out where a greater percentage of the United States.
Jenny Lynn remembered what it was. It was election fraud 2016.wordpress.com.
Okay,
That's what I was.
So a while back. Oh, thank you, Kevin. So a few decades ago, as I remember, they used to have these polls that would come out that 52, 55% of the voting republic or would want something to be done in Congress, and they'd fucking do it. We're at 70% single payer, and they're not doing a fucking thing. That's and there's a lot of issues, infrastructure, single payer, just, and the list goes on and on and on. No more fucking wars, and they're just they don't give a fuck about what we say anymore. That's the sad thing about it. They used to care. They actually used to react, but they don't. So
well, what was the that Princeton poll? The Princeton poll. Are you guys familiar with that? They tried to judge the effect of the voting public on major decisions in the U.S. and it amounted to almost nothing. I'll try to find a link for it.
Snark, you're going to say something?
Yes, separating polls from votes, where the vote stream was changing as you looked out through the night. The polls were before the vote. And one of the things with polls is they're a good up above, well, used to be above the ground poll, would put their methodology at the bottom where you could read, say, this is how I took the poll. This is who was involved in taking the poll. And this is how the people that we checked were the demographics. And maybe it's because I'm a numbers guy. I always go down and read the methodology. And when I see the methodology stinks, I usually know that the poll is stink.
Yeah.
Like when they exclude everyone below 35 and say Hillary's winning.
Well, no, but when I was watching the rules that were posted down at the bottom, they kept changing and they kept getting more and more and more favorable to Hillary.
Yeah,
they started adding rules like they would only count the people that they polled if this was the second or the third election that they had voted in, meaning that no 18-year-olds were counted.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, when it said only people that had voted in two general elections, that meant that they didn't get anybody under the age of 24. They were specifically tuning out and were under 24.
One of the ones that I remembered was they would poll people through landline telephones. Mm-hmm. And what millennial has landline telephones?
Right.
Not many.
But as they got going on toward closer and closer.
It's Stevie. I got one.
But
technically anybody below 35 is a millennial.
Right, but the rules were kept being tailored to make sure that people under 30 did not get polled.
Yep, I never got polled once. Actually, my brother got a job at one of the polling firms or whatever. He was working for the bad guys. He was working for, well, they're both bad guys, but he was working for the Republicans. And he was up in the UP calling, and some of the questions, they were really, the weasel word language they use. It's like, do you want your taxes increased so you can pay for these worthless people that don't work or anything like that for health care? Or, it's just this really crazy. And the crazy thing is they were paying them $17 an hour to do it. They're willing to pay $17 an hour to push out lies and bullshit. But, when it comes to actually raising the minimum wage for everybody, nope. We can't have that. We got to lower it.
You know who I wish we had back in Michigan, dude, was Bart Stupak.
No idea who that is.
You don't? Well, look him up. He was actually pretty decent congressperson.
How do you spell that?
Stupak, Stupak. But then his son shot himself in the head. Retired from politics soon after that.
I have a feeling that probably didn't happen the way it did.
Is it shoot himself in the head with quotation marks?
Yeah, Bart wasn't that controversial that they would shoot his son in the head. But he was a stand-up guy. He would try to stand up for citizens. He was a politician, don't get me wrong, but he was better than most.
I mean, Webster Dictionary literally says the definition of politician is one who schemes and maneuvers. That's an actual definition.
I mean,
It was
they're
actually
not
a
wrong.
Jeopardy
They're
question
not
too.
wrong in today's climate, although it should be wrong. That definition should definitely be wrong.
No,
It
I
should
think it's
be somebody
actually
that
accurate.
advocates for the people. You know, like that's what a politician is.
No.
But it's just
Schemes
like
and
what they
maneuvers, not
are.
advocates and helps.
When I was still sleeping, not woke, whatever term you want to call it, even though I didn't like politicians, I always admired politicians of all the stuff that they would do strategically, manipulate psychologically, and just saying how good of a politician they are, that they can do this stuff and get away with it. And
you mean all the stuff that makes a person a disgusting human being?
Exactly. And it's just like, I always thought that was just like very, very interesting, but like now I see it as like, okay, it's old. Why do we like that stuff? I mean, it's
I never thought of it as interesting, but then again, I'm a lot younger than, well, I'm at least, 10 years younger than you? I'm 25. How old are you, Ebon? 30 something?
39.
39?
I'm getting old.
Yeah, so you're a good 15 years older than I am, just about.
Yeah, you guys are just children.
It's interesting. I always thought of it as, oh God, these people are getting crazier and crazier, and I'm looking down the road and oh fuck. You know, ever since I was a little kid, my dad used to point to TV. You see that? You see those people on it? This is the idiot box.
I like that.
Should I put up a page that an above the ground poll has?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so
it's coming up on share screen right now.
So when we're talking about in the past and how these people used to do things to manipulate votes, and Evan brought it up. It's not the politician himself isn't. They understand how this process works, but they're marketing firms, and they know how to put create scripts that highlight and accentuate.
You sure that's accurate?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I was just waiting for him to get done talking.
I need you guys to understand this. This is important.
Yep.
I like what he's putting up, but this is important. You guys are being manipulated by marketing firms. The politician is the actor. These marketing firms have the scripts. They put the stage up. They've got grips, which they call them in Hollywood, that set up all the staging and all the props, and they get everything ready, and then they put them out in front, and they go do it, and action. And that's the way it works.
They're branded. They have a branding of their what they're supposed to represent. They don't represent anything except for an ideal, and it's not necessarily what they'll do when they're in office.
Yeah.
And you'll they'll never answer a yes or no question. They've got a script that they go by where they don't necessarily ever say they support this, they don't support that. Their answer is going to be 5 to 10 minutes long, and it's not even going to answer a question.
Right.
It's going to be so convoluted that it's going to start. They're either going to go on an attack for whoever that they're debating against. They're going to talk about the non-issues of like making it sound so good that they're a patriot, or they've got to support the military, the people who defend our country, all this other stuff. They don't ever answer the question of whether they want something to happen
directly. A yes or no directly, you never hear anymore. It's good.
Yeah.
I don't hear that much. But they're trained. They actually have classes for that. Believe it or not, they actually go through. And here's a good example of what Evan was just saying. So Donald Trump gets in office. He says a bunch of stuff in the primaries, says a ton of shit in the general, and then becomes POTUS, and he's pissing off a lot of his base because he's not doing the shit that he said he was going to do. I don't see the fucking wall being built yet, by the way, and it's already been how long? I don't see the foundation being built, and a lot of other things that he kept promising. So the biggest example of what Evan's talking about, which is the saddest probably election, excuse me, 2 terms that I've ever seen, is Obama. And I know Eric totally knows about this. Is this guy said he said all the right things, and nobody caught it, but he did it so well and so perfectly, and he hit it to the T, and his team of marketing gurus got him propped up so perfectly and sent him out to do his work on stage, and he should have a fucking Oscar for bullshitting. He's the fucking Kevin Spacey of the fucking political world, because when you dig down deep, the guy's just a fucking molester when it came to this country. Bingo. Bingo. Yeah, he's just an asshole.
Yeah, he's and the media spun it as the Republicans wouldn't do anything, that they would oppose it. But it's really easy to fight against. What do they call it when they just have to keep talking in order for to block something?
Filibustering.
Filibuster. Yeah.
So you don't see Democrats filibustering anything. But you know what? When the Democrats had the House, Senate, and the House, Republicans filibuster. They didn't even have to filibuster. They just said, "Hey, we're going to filibuster it," and so they would even put it to a vote.
And the Dems would crumple.
Yeah, and the Dems would crumple.
A perfect example is Obamacare. I mean, they had the majority, rule in Congress. Obama was president, and yet we still get stuck with Obamacare because 2 parties only serve one person, the corporations.
Yeah.
Bottom line, all the time. Bottom line. Sorry, just the way it is. I'm sorry. So, Snork, what was that, sir?
He's eating.
This is how a poll is, above the ground poll is taken.
Could you bring it up again, please?
Sure.
And explain, because I didn't. I'm sorry. I had to get my thought out. I'm like Kevin. If I don't get my thought out, I'll fucking lose it. I've got ADHD too, so I'm just saying. Hey,
it starts off by telling when it was done. It says how many people they polled. So they're all registered voters. It gives a good estimate of what they think their error rate was. So they think by the numbers they've taken, and 1,412 is really kind of a small sample.
It's very small.
That's tiny.
Okay, so they're 3.1 percentage points is probably a high rate. So, but they'll go on to say it's conducted in English, expanded depending on which the respondent preferred, and they were calling both landlines and cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
They say that they ask each person if they consider themselves a Republican, Democrat, Independent, or what, and then it goes on into the details. They called both landlines and cell phones, and they chose a ratio between the landline and cell phone answers depending on a poll separately taken using the National Health interview survey estimates. So household by household, it's a census of how many people have cell phone only, how many have a landline only, how many have both. So they balance it according to that. Mm-hmm. So that means that they've got a pretty good understanding of their demographics by the type of device they use, which almost tells you that can split age a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, they say that they try to call each number 5 times before giving up.
Yeah.
To go on by all the different samples that they had taken. When I was reading the same things during the Hillary campaign, Quinnipiac was the one that originally said 2 years before the election that if Bernie ran, that he had the best chance of beating Trump. And
because they seem pretty thorough.
They're very thorough,
yeah.
and very accurate explanation of what's going on. They give all their rules, and they give contact information that if you'd like to get even more detailed, like what math formulas and everything, they will give it to you. So that pretty much tells me that they're not trying to pull anything over for me.
Yeah, they won't be. They're going to go. They're going to go out of business. Just letting you know.
For me, it's simple. If you look at the methodology or just the whole sampling, if they don't have the word random in it, it's not
Is this supposed to be a nationwide poll?
That's just a certain district or something like that. Is that correct, Snort?
Quinnipiac is nationwide.
Nationwide, what's the distribution of those people? Is it just literally one group of people in one state?
They don't provide that.
Quinnipiac is a university that teaches polling.
Well, that doesn't really. They have universities that teaches journalism. That doesn't really.
Quinnipiac has a really
credibility.
Has a really good reputation for teaching polling.
So what other companies? There's a lot of companies out there like I don't know the companies off the top of my head, but there's a bunch of them out there. The Gallup polls, everybody's and then of course MSNBC will have their poll, and then you'll have Fox that'll have their poll, and then that's like two different fucking ends of the spectrum.
Anyone can do a poll, but whether they're gonna just be use your poll or not is based on whatever medium decides to. Like if it's CNN,
they just pick out the poll which gives the best numbers to their candidate they like.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, it's like me doing a poll on with my close to 5,000 Facebook friends. Most of those people are, liberal, progressive, left blues, and some hillbots. But if I pose the question like, you guys like Donald Trump?
What I find really interesting is
you're going to get a totally
the timeline that we're now finding.
Answer.
Oh.
Go ahead, man.
The timeline what?
The timeline that we're finding where Hillary bought the Democratic Party. Gallup, one of the major polling places, pulled out of keeping track.
When?
They said that they're not going to poll the horse race.
Huh.
If you don't get votes, or basically how our elections and how the polling works is if you don't get polls that are favorable to the corrupt people, then you don't you don't do the polling anymore. You don't show anybody. And then same thing with the votes. If you don't have votes or people are going to vote a way you don't like, well, purge them off the rolls, make them do a crossover ballot, or just literally prevent them from voting, or we do not have fair and equal elections at all. Not in the slightest bit of the meaning.
You know what would be a cool idea? You know how everyone hates ads? Everyone, so you'd want to skip ads. Sometimes they fill out. What if you did it so if you filled out a poll, you can skip ads for say certain particular thing, or like say like YouTube ads. Or
the thing is, you don't want your respondents picking who answers. You want to pick the respondent and say, you're picked. Give me your answer. Because what is influencing that person to answer is very important to the poll. So you don't want to end up being, well, everybody that was at this website was pretty much already interested in that. If they had common interests, they might have some common opinions, and they might be for a common.
No. I'm talking like it's kind of like a universal ad blocker app type of thing. Say you get this by filling out a poll, just kind of like how you fill out surveys and you get like free issues of like Sports Illustrated, right? So,
but you don't want something that divides what tends to make the one person want to click it versus the other. A type A personality versus
okay, yeah, I see.
They might respond differently. So you never want your respondents to have any influence on whether or not they're one of the ones chosen to be counted.
Well, you could make
because
it that
then people that see a Hillary poll and like Hillary, they click on that and you get an incredibly biased poll for Hillary. Or all the people that like Trump, you put this poll on a website, then you get an incredibly biased poll that says, Trump's great. That is that what you're getting at, Snork?
Yes. Well, I mean, yeah, like if there's a website and you
because it's not like I just came to you and asked you a question. It's I put something there and you just happen to open it and answer the question.
You're more likely to see it, or you're more likely to be interested in it. Let's say there's a porn site that has women peeing on beds that President Clinton has slept in. A Trump supporter might be more willing or more likely to see it. Right? So the respondent in that case, there was more of a tendency for them to see it. First of all, where you place the ad matters. Did I place it? Did I find my respondents in an unbiased manner? So looking in the instructions is, how did I find my respondents? Well, in that case, they used a double-blind test with 2 random numbers being generated and only dialing it when both of them agreed. So
I got an idea. We can you got, and this would be a completely voluntary thing, and it would just be it'd be kind of a group activity between all the independent media, both, even some of the farther right people that are somewhat sane, do it with them too, and just ask one question to everybody's thing before they, because you can do it for a YouTube video before the thing plays, you have to answer a question. You can do it for a website before you get access, you got to answer a question. You know what I mean? And they can just do that temporarily for, let's say on Tim's site or on somebody else's site. And then you can take all the results from that single one question that was asked in multiple different places and aggregate the results together between right wing and left wing and get an idea, at least from the US who's on the internet perspective of those. And then you can do the phone calls and the banking afterwards, but then you might get some overlap there. So. But I think that might be a little more accurate way to where we could get a larger polling sample up into the millions.
Mm-hmm. Black Friday would be the best time to do it. or was it the Cyber Monday? Everyone's looking for deals.
Whatever day those people go to the store and trample each other.
Yeah.
I don't even know why they go before Christmas. That's pretty fucking stupid. All the best deals, if you're going to really go to the store, you wait until after the holiday because it's cheaper. All those deals and promotions they put on for Christmas are all crap. I mean, right after Christmas, they're trying to sell off all the overstock they have, and you can get the same deal, if not better. I've done that multiple times.
Again, I recommend, my advice is to participate in Buy Nothing Day.
Yeah.
Buy nothing on Black Friday.
Yeah,
Encourage your
you buy
friends to do
nothing,
the
one
same.
less person trampled, hopefully.
Yeah, the thing is, it's funny because if people all join together and not participate in Black Friday, when all the stores are anticipating huge sales, the stores will start selling things a lot cheaper because they're still in the red. They're like, you know what, we got to sell stuff off fast. And so if no one's buying anything and on purpose, they're just gonna get a lot more cheaper stuff.
A lot of those big box stores, especially like Walmart, are always in the red. They're constantly in the red. The only reason they make any profit whatsoever is because how heavily subsidized by the government they are.
Well, if we can get at least some people to divest one day every year, it's at least a start.
Yeah. And plus, it's just the amount of money you'd save not buying stuff.
Or just spend it on something useful and productive and not just you need a new flat screen TV. What's wrong with the old one? Nothing. I'm just going to chuck it for the hell of it. Buy a new one. Get $130, get a 40-inch.
Buy nothing day, dude. Buy nothing. Buy everything that you can tomorrow or the Thursday before, I should say. And, just don't buy anything at all.
Or buy something useful day. How about that? Buy a solar panel, put it away for a rainy day, or maybe somebody around the block, if everybody cooperates, eventually you'll have a community solar system and they won't have to deal with the power company anymore.
Or if you do buy something, buy local, buy something that's not a big chain.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when you have that big chain like Walmart, they normally undercut everything and drive those places out of business. Because, just up here, when we've got a Walmart around here. Years ago, it wasn't here. We had a lot more shit we could go to, a lot of different places. And Walmart came in, like fucking 50% of them shut down immediately. They couldn't compete at all. Walmart just drives everything under. It lowers wages. It fucking steals benefits. It's horrible. I mean, Walmart's like the business model if you want to be a coal mining town.
Oh, have you seen the new?
What?
Oh, have you seen the new Walmart commercials? They're using a lot more uppity music, trendy music, and what James also mentioned, like the Justice League. They're making ads for Walmart. They're trying to be hip, and you know, if you actually look at a Walmart, like on YouTube videos, they're not dressed like what they are in commercials. They're in like pajamas and they got their butt crack showing and like
Jesus fucking
wearing tank
Christ.
tops.
Are they becoming that much more pathetic to fucking advertise?
Yeah,
I just look at it as like a propaganda culture for a fucking. It's stupid.
Do you guys remember what I brought up a few weeks back about, or maybe it was a few months back about advertising? How I don't know if any of you remember, but I was reading out of a gardening book from 1986, and I was comparing the advertisements in there to the advertisements we have now, and there's a striking difference between them. I mean, advertisements used to be the people didn't have so much information tailored to a specific person. I mean, you probably, if any one of you go to Walmart or any of that, you probably get tailored ads sent to you in the mail. Yeah,
they do that electronically now. I mean,
without that information, what happened is they had to generalize it more, and they had to do something productive. Like in that book that, you know, in the magazine I was reading off there, they had, okay, get a wood stove. Here's a domestic heating coil. Here's the parts you need to heat your own house and all that, and do it for free. How to make money. Here's a saw that you can do this. There's a key making rig. There, you know, it was for the time, obviously, 30, 40 years ago almost. But it was tailored for the time, but they were useful things. They were productive things. They provided a benefit to you. You know, they provided a tangible, real world benefit to you that would either provide you with something or prevent you from having to use money for something else. I mean, the whole idea of how you do marketing is completely shifted. It's all about trendy and let's make this hip, and I'm hip, I'm with it, I'm cool. I want to do that little Dr. Evil impression every time I fucking see these commercials. Like they're horrible. They're absolutely horrible. They're about nothing. They try to instill this happy sort of giggly feeling like, oh, if you buy this stuff, that hole inside you will be filled, and just give me your money. It's just it's empty and worthless, and just it's vile, and people eat it up and fall for it, and it just disgusts me.
Like the Pepsi commercial with the Kardashian,
I haven't seen that, but I'm assuming that's
the one where she gives the riot.
Yeah, she just gives the police officer the Pepsi, and it just, they stop shooting all the unarmed black people. That's kind of how it works.
A propaganda culture. I call it out for what it is. That's a fact.
Yeah. I can't wait till my daughter gets older, because every time I say news, I say propaganda news, and she hates it because it's boring. And so I always ask her if she wants to watch propaganda news, and she goes, "No, I don't want to watch propaganda news."
Let's just see. We see that as far as kids go, it's disturbing because we've seen the same kind of thing for decades with these chain outlets like McDonald's. The kids at a young age learn to associate going to these places with getting something or having a good time, and it imprints on them.
Yeah. I believe that ties back into I want to say Bill Clinton, but I'm not sure. That might not be him, but the regulations on advertising to children.
Well, I'm talking about more than just advertising. I'm talking about taking them into these stores and buying them things, or
but why do you think they have kids meals?
Or letting them play on the play sets or whatever.
Yeah,
the kids' minds get wired.
They're trying to work people into thinking this is okay.
I want to go to McDonald's or something like that. Is what.
Yeah. It's like this.
Create the need in someone's mind.
It's like the gifts in the cereal boxes. It's like, you don't really care for which cereal you get, but whatever has the coolest toy inside, you're gonna want that.
Yeah, I just saw an ad within the past year or two for McDonald's, and it was this little girl. She looked like she was about 10 years old, and she was stressed out. A 10-year-old stressed out, and so the solution for her stress was McDonald's. Her brother or somebody brought her a Happy Meal.
That's horrible.
So the 10-year-old seeks solace in a McDonald's meal. Like the whole thing was so sick and screwed up. I'm like, food doesn't fix the problems. If you're
Can't handle life, stressed out,
you got some
stuff your face with this grease burger. That'll make you feel better.
Kevin, could you not interrupt?
I mean, it's like, that's the thing. It's like, you're 10 years old and you're stressed out. That's the problem. McDonald's isn't going to fix it. If you're 10 years old and you're stressed out, you've got some serious problems, and a burger's not going to fucking fix that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
it actually might make it worse.
It was like, her day was so bad, but McDonald's made it better. I'm like, you know what? If you buy into that, you're going to be a 300-pound plus, 30-year-old in the next 20 years. I mean, that's just what's going to happen, because if you seek solace in food, it's not going to work out good for you.
Eat your sadness away. That's a crazy ad. Where the hell did you see that?
I mean, these ads have gotten
I say this as I'm eating, but
well, that's just an insane ad that they would even put something like that up. Oh, depressed, sad kid, eat a fat burger.
I mean, kids are sad these days. I just saw an ad on Cartoon Network that was anti-suicide. It was talking about, it was his dad. He was talking about how, I taught you how to shoot a gun, but I never thought you'd turn it on yourself. And I'm like, shit, you're putting this on a kids program? I mean, we're just trying to watch Teen Titans, and then you're telling me, like, don't shoot yourself in the face, kids. Like, holy crap, man. Is this where we're at now, that 10-year-olds are shooting themselves in the head? I mean, I saw it when I worked at the hospital. I saw a 12-year-old that shot himself in the head. I mean, it's happening. It's real. Our kids, we can't protect them from this stuff. We can't protect them from the realities of the world. And they're feeling it younger and younger these days.
That goes back to what James was talking about these damn marketers and these advertisers. It's not only language and the obvious things they use. They've been studying like basic core human psychology for damn near 100 years now. And they will get things past your conscious mind. Like, for example, programming you before you're too young to realize what's up, or any number of other little tricks they can use on anybody.
I mean, like dating services are always big. And if you look at the influence of just movies, TV shows, of how you need to dress, how you need to act to ask someone out, where you go and meet them, that's kind of ingrained within the American culture. You're going to need to dress up really nice. You don't wear jeans. You're going to put on cologne. You want to spruce up. Basically, if you're not rich, you got to look like you're rich in order to attract someone, and then go through the whole ritual of pretending you don't really like them just enough. Don't call them like the day after. You gotta wait at least 2-3 days to give them a call back or something like that. You go through this entire ritual of, and a lot of it has to do with, you're putting up a lot of money. And then the thing is, that stuff doesn't really work. Because the ones you're trying to impress that way probably have money, and they're not impressed by it unless they get a lot more material stuff. But then you're just going for the people that are materialistic.
You're looking for a gold digger.
Yeah. And then if you're actually not that way, so you're basically acting like someone else in order to attract someone that's probably someone you're not looking for, right? So you're wasting a lot of time, you're wasting a lot of money. And then what basically should be is, hey, if you want to meet someone, what do you like to do? Oh, I like playing video games. I like reading books. I like watching movies. Well, then you should probably go to areas where you do those things and try to meet up with people socially. And then if you find someone that you talk to and you click with, then take it to the next level or something like that. But it's always going out to clubs, going out to bars to meet somebody. it's those are like the typical routes, it seems.
Well, the
And that's-
brain. Oh, go ahead, dude. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
The brain's hardwired to like absorb social interactions like a sponge, like even when you're not aware of it, right? You're always observing the people around you, how they're acting, like where do you fit in, whatever. You're hardwired to do that. Well, the brain has a really hard time telling the difference between the narratives that we see in commercials or in movies and stuff like that. The brain has a hard time telling the difference between that and reality. So in the subconscious part of your mind, you're absorbing all these fake social cues that are programming you, because the psychologists know how to manipulate your subconscious mind. They're programming you to act certain ways or to react to certain situations in certain ways, that aren't even real. They aren't part of your real experience.
And you know what? That's what kills me about our government. It's like they have sunk so much time and energy and resources into predicting how and what we think. It's like they understand the psyche. They understand how to manipulate people to do what they want. And it's like they could use that information to really better society, because if you understand how your own brain works, if you understand your own shortcomings and how your brain, will see information and react to it, then, we could plan for this stuff. But a lot of times it's like, you have to learn through failure. It's like, you fall for the propaganda or you fall for the emotional, tactics that they use. And it's just like, you're not making society any better. There's so many mentally ill people out there that could benefit from this information and better their own lives, to understand how their own emotions and their brain works. But yet we're using that to make corporations richer. That's what we're doing with it.
Yeah.
And all the best psychologists and stuff, they end up going into private industry. Not all the best ones, but all the people who are great at sociology and stuff, I mean, they're going into these industries rather than devoting themselves to real science.
I think it's called game theory. I think that's what I'm thinking of, is how you can predict how people will make choices. There's actual college courses for this shit. Like, I'm just now finding this out within the past year. It's like, there's an actual school. I mean, you can go to school and learn how to do what they do. It's like, it's out there. There's actual real information.
I call it rats in a maze.
Yeah. I mean, like, you can just actually predict. And if you can predict how people are going to react in a certain situation, and you have the means to create that situation, that's a recipe for disaster.
And I think it's interesting is that's also applied to the games these days, like we were talking about earlier, is everything's microtransactions. It's like, hey, this is a free game. But if you want to actually do anything that's fun in the game, you're gonna have to pay money. So
you're talking about those like Facebook add-on games and all that shit like that?
Pretty much any game these days.
Yeah, whatever happens, do they just make a good game and then they make a good follow-up for it, and a little downloadable content here and there for add-ons and shit. It's like, I don't care if it's kind of steep for the game price, as long as it's a nice, well done game.
Yeah. And like look at the pre-order stuff. Like, basically a game is $60. That's usually average. And then they have like a deluxe version where it's $90. You're paying $90. You get like a figurine, like a plastic figurine, like a little
absolutely useless stuff that doesn't exist and does nothing for you.
And you get one in-game item you can't get if you don't buy the pre-order, and that usually is just on par with, like, eventually you'll get something that similar within like 10 hours of gameplay. And then you've got like the super deluxe, which is like $120, where you'll get like 2 seasons of DLC downloadable content stuff.
Yeah, that's targeting impulse buyers.
And you get like 2 figurines instead of 1. You get like 2 in-game items or whatever. And then when you play the game, it's like, it's not even finished product. You're basically paying for a beta version of a game.
Don't even get
Fallout
started
4.
on DLC.
They did a pre-order on it, and then when you played it, it freezed up in areas.
Yeah,
I'll admit I like Fallout. Pretty good game. Played the computer versions and the PS4 version. Yeah.
But the thing is, these game companies or game publishers actually are making more money off of pre-orders than they would just normally from making a game, selling it normally with everything.
Well, then again, I'm not like the pre-order thing. I'm kind of half and half on, because okay, maybe if they set the pre-order, because that could be a useful thing. Because let's say okay, everybody wants Fallout 5. Oh, it's like, let's see how many people want this. You get 10 million people that pre-order the fucking thing. Well, you're gonna start trying to get Fallout 5 ready pretty fast. You know what I mean? I guess it's the biggest problem is if it falls through, or if they go past their promise date, or you know, like I know for some of those policies, like for the pre-order stuff, like if you buy ahead and then like the company crashes or whatever, you wouldn't get your money back. I mean, it's
yeah. I mean, so they have this. You know how you can like it's kind of like an Indiegogo for games. I forgot what it is. I did the thing for like the latest Ultima because I was a big Ultima fan. It's by Lord British. I forget his real name, but basically you put
on the NES.
It's like Richard Gardner, right?
Yeah, Richard Garriott. That's right.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, he had old stuff way back in the Commodore 64 days, even before and they, you know, Ultima 1, Ultima 2, Ultima 3, all the way up to like Ultima 11. Then like they had the Ultima Online, and then, anyways, he wanted to get away from these publishers and just kind of publish on his own. You know, raise enough money so they could start building it how he wants to build it, and not dictated by publishers. Well, I paid into that like I think 3-4 years ago. You could play any of the builds as it goes. But I don't think I've ever touched that game since I paid for it. I mean, it's still in production, but
nice. Damn.
It's that's the thing is when you pre-order far too ahead, you're just like, well, you're not interested. Plus, so much time passes, you may not even have time to play for it, or there's another game that comes up.
Or a good example is this: there are people that pre-order. Okay, this is just an example for Fallout because a buddy of mine, we did pre-order that because we wanted to play it. It was fun, but and I've played the other Fallout games. It's a good size game, and it's got replay value. But what they did is he did a pre-order, and I told him not to. And then right after it came out, like 3 or 4 days after that, the price dropped like $10 or $15. Like he could have, he pre-ordered the expensive thing when he could have just waited till after it came out and got it for cheaper. Like that's.
Go ahead, dude.
Oh, I was gonna go into like movies, like so a lot of movies, especially like comic book movies, superhero movies, they you know that they're gonna have. Well, actually, the best example is The Lord of the Rings, right? You know, Lord of the Rings, the original Lord of the Rings came out, and then they had like 2 hours or like 30, maybe half an hour of extra bonus footage. But the thing is, when they sell it, they sell the original theatrical cut, and then people buy into that, and then like 3 months later they have the extended cut, and so you can't just add on the extended part. You have to buy that. So it seems like when you're going out to watch even a movie, you get to watch it once. You can't watch it ever again until you buy it. And when you buy it, you have to wait for the director's cut, the full cut, deleted scenes, all the extras, longer than the original one that gets released. So it's just kind of, most people are just keep buying into something they've already watched, but to watch more of it, they have to buy the DVD, the Blu-ray, whatever. And
bye.
Just to go back to the games really quick, and I mean, like, then there's some games like Starship Citizen that you wait for the release. I mean, my God, and they just don't come out like forever, and by that time they're outdated. Something's come by that's better. You know what I'm saying?
Remember that one game that took like years. It was it's a first person shooter.
Is it the one that was set in space that everybody was like so excited about, and then like it turned out to be a giant flop? Is that I can't remember the name of
No.
it. Like Star or Sky or something had something to do with space.
Dead
it was,
Space.
no, it was it was like that open world game, wasn't it, Stevie?
Yeah,
Like
is that the one you're talking about? Because
No,
that's
this is a different one.
oh okay.
It was like an old first person shooter game. It was like very crass jokes, very not your typical
They got
game.
stuck in
It's
the tree.
just very well exaggerated.
Was it a Wild West sort of setting?
No, not necessarily.
Oh,
I can't
okay.
remember, but basically it's like
Like Red Dawn Redemption.
no. It's
Red
basically
Something.
it's not Red Dead Redemption. It's basically I forgot what it was, but it was always in development, and then they were always behind, so they had to redevelop just the graphical side, and then when they were getting close to ready, another game would come out, and it was just way far superior to what they've already created. So they would redo everything again, and they'd just be wasting so many millions of dollars. And
Is this a recent game?
no, they finally released like a version of it maybe like 5 years ago, but it wasn't great. I'm trying to figure out what
I'm
it
not sure which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Who keeps putting the Deadpool as the painter that used to be on public television a long time ago? I actually know who that guy is. I actually seen that before they did the digital conversion. Robert Ross, is that what his name is? The guy that always said, now we're going to paint a mountain scenery.
Yeah, we're talking about movies, and the new Deadpool trailer is he mimics this painter guy, Robert Ross. It's just fucking hilarious.
Robert, I've never heard him referred to as Robert Ross. That sounds so professional.
Is that his name? Whatever his name is.
Bob Ross.
Bob
Yeah,
Ross,
I think
whatever.
that's his name.
Yeah.
It's Robert Ross, I think.
Robert Ross sounds like a teacher.
But he's a
game
Oh,
I
he
was-
is a teacher. He's teaching how
Have
to
you guys
paint.
seen it? It's fucking epic. It's just the
Not
funniest shit.
yet. The game I was talking about is Duke Nukem Forever. It started in like 1996, and it took like 15 years before they reached market.
Oh, Duke Nukem, he's awesome.
Yeah.
I know I talk about Borderlands a lot, but I would really like to see them come out with a PC game that was like a multi-world, type of thing. Because at the end of, I think might have been the second Borderlands, they showed like the celestial system where there's all these different vaults and all these different planets, and I'm like, oh my god, that would be like the best MMO RPG ever if you could just go to all these different planets and find all these different vaults.
Oh.
But I don't see it happening because they're tied to Xbox, and that pre-sequel was so disappointing.
I see it happening.
It would be a really fun PC game, but
No, it would suck, but the reason I see it happening is just for the fact that they can penny it out bit by bit. Oh, you want a little further? We'll give you a half an hour, a couple hours of gameplay, $30. Oh, you want to go a little farther? They'll be like a drug dealer, but with game DLC.
yeah. I mean, like I don't know about the DLC for the pre-sequel, but the DLC for the second Borderlands was phenomenal. I mean, the Tiny Tina's Dragon Keep, the Assault on Dragon Keep, is basically a spoof on D&D, where it's like you get to run a D&D campaign with guns. It was so much fun. I wish they would have made just a standalone game with that. I mean, they really could have developed that to where it was its own. But I mean, like their DLC was definitely worth it, and the original game, was so well developed that it could have been good without DLC. But I mean, but that's how games should be. I mean, when I was a kid and I played games, I mean, they were expensive, but you got what you paid for.
Yeah.
Now it's like you get half of the game, and then you have to pay another, $60 for the DLC. It's like,
Or you get a super CGI game with no plot, and it's just you follow this one line. That's why I've always been a Fallout fan, because you can start any of the Fallouts and always have a different story progression through the entire game every single time. I mean, you can start and move in different ways and do different shit, and it's like you're never gonna have the same gameplay when you play it.
some of the best games are ones that allow for mods or people to create their own custom scenarios or custom modifications. And
Another
you
reason
get
for
really,
Fallout.
and you get a really good, huge following from people because they spend time to create little modifications of a game. I remember like the first big ones was like the original StarCraft. They would make all these crazy little mini games within the game. The more people played that they would play against each other in multiplayer. Because
Battle.net was
used
always
to make,
fun and it was free.
Did you guys ever play Neverwinter Nights or Neverwinter Nights 2?
I played a little bit, but not too much.
Where you could create your own like fully fledged modules in this. And there was the DM client, and it was based on the Aurora system, and it was really cool, man. Check it out. You could create like a whole D&D module. It was awesome. It took a long time, but it was as good as the quality of the game.
Yeah, and like a lot of first-person shooters, you could create your own maps. You could create your own maps to fight in, and you could have other people download it and play in those multiplayer maps. Things back then were awesome. Now they don't do that anymore just because it takes extra time, but then also they don't make any money out of it. Because someone creates something really good that everyone plays, they'd rather just keep playing that mod over and over again than find a new.
Yeah, they want to eliminate replayability. Yeah, and that's why you get a lot of games that do not have a co-op or do not have any sort of multiplayer function whatsoever. Yeah, because I remember you used to get my favorite. Like I remember years back, I had a PS2, and the one game that was always fun because everybody could play was Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. I mean, everybody could play. Everybody picks their characters. We only got 2 controllers, but we get to trade off, and everybody gets 3 or 4 characters, and we all get to have a big, fun button mashing game with like 10 people playing. We all get to shout. It's like it can be fun. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of people playing together, having a couple drinks, having a little party or whatever, bitching about who's kicking whose ass. It's just a fun button mashing game for people.
Yeah, and I remember the.
The right combos and shit like that. It wasn't like straight up just mash buttons, but it was pretty heavy button mashing. Like the best part about it is it's whenever the one nice thing about Budokai 3 is the beam struggles were a bitch. Like you had to rotate both your joysticks at once, and it was literally like sometimes you'd get 2 people that were really, really fast with the joysticks, and they'd sit there for like 2 minutes, a fucking beam thing going back and forth, and they're screaming, their faces are getting red, like, oh god, I'm not gonna die. It was a fun game. It actually had some competitive aspects to it. It wasn't just one of those games to where, I can pick one character, I'm gonna hack the character, and I can fuck everybody. This is a decent done little fighting game, I thought.
Another fun thing that I liked in the past was, especially with Halo, they remember Red and Blue or Red versus Blue. Basically, it's just guys playing the game and they're just voicing over the characters that they're playing, and they create their own little scripts or TV show out of it, and they made it funny. So, if you ever check it out, there's still some old videos out there.
I saw a couple episodes of that.
Rooster Teeth, that's who it is. Yeah, I love Red versus Blue. That was so funny.
Eric?
It's like with this anime named Shin-Chan. It's like completely different in Japan, but in the American dub, they made it, very, very dirty and very funny. And it's like, it's a really funny show. I mean, it's like, it does have like really like beyond dark humor in it, but it's still pretty funny.
How's the original different? Because I've only seen the English one on, I think it was Adult Swim.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hilarious, but I wonder how the original's different. I'd like to see that.
The original, although it still has like, like the humor in it, that makes the anime funny, but the Adult Swim made it, the Funimation dub, they really just really dirtied it up, and it's like watching South Park though, in a sense, but it's very funny.
Did you guys ever read the Garfield comics? That there's one where they erased Garfield, so it's basically John Arbuckle just kind of saying depressive stuff to himself.
It's super depressing. It's Garfield minus Garfield. Let's call it. It's so depressing.
That sounds hilarious.
So I mean, the things that people come up with, it's just hilarious. It's great, and I feel like there's just less and less of that in the internet world, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's because all these copyright rules. You can't have any fun with anything without getting struck down with copyright.
You didn't pay your royalties.
I was like, you know what? I paid my fucking royalties in time. I have my damn rights.
No, they want the point to where nothing's free use, and once they own it for the rest of eternity. And that's what they're trying to do with the patent laws and with fucking everything. They want to, any idea period, they want to permanently own it. And it's insane. It's literally crazy.
The latest example is people used to make a lot of Star Wars fan episodes. You can't do that anymore because that's copyright on Star Wars or Disney's IP.
Oh yeah, you got to watch out for those Disney Nazis. They'll get you.
I mean, even if it's not monetized, it's just like people just want to have fun, creating
a gag reel or something like that, or a little parody or an abridged series or something, just for shits and giggles.
Well,
there was a lot of stuff that I made on my channel that got copyright strikes in the beginning. I mean, I made a lot of spoofs about Donald Trump, and there was one I had that was Bernie Sanders that had the Red Wedding song, playing in the background when he, endorsed Hillary. That got a copyright strike against it. It's like, you can't have fun anymore. You can't have fun.
It's all a bunch of, it's like they want to create their own propaganda culture, but, not make stuff fucking funny. They just want it their own fucking way, like a fucking spoiled child. And that's why, all that fucking copyright bullshit is out there. Honestly.
They want to also limit creativity in a way.
Exactly.
Well, either limit it or buy it up. One or the other.
You know what? I go for creating my own original content. Fuck the establishment.
That's a copyright. Original content, funny stuff about commentary. Oh, nope, that's copyright. Can't monetize that.
Well, it's like Disney realized how much cash there was in the quote geek world. And they moved in and they bought up Star Trek. They bought up Star Wars. They bought up Marvel Comics. People are all upset about. I don't read comics anymore, but I did when I was a kid. And I've been looking at these YouTube videos about the state of the comic industry. And people are they're enraged.
They
ruined it.
They
fucking ruined it.
Especially Star Trek Discovery. That's just a heaping pile of shit.
Yeah, the Thor where they want to make Thor a woman had big controversy. Yeah, and then they had Captain America where he was Hydra.
Well, some of those alternate world sort of comics are kind of fun because at least in the comics, if you get where this character's evil, you got this universe where at least that gives off a spin-off movie that can come out eventually, hopefully. Because look at Deadpool. I mean, he's like a character that never had a movie, and they
didn't create an alternate world. What they ended up doing is just simply replacing the old titles with the new characters. There isn't two versions. There's only the female Thor.
Like what you mean with Iron Man? I know they replaced Iron Man with a younger black girl. I think she was in her teens. So it's is that what you're talking about? They just replace it instead of doing an alternate.
Yeah. But go ahead, Eric.
What's next? We're gonna make like a female like Hulk and like cast fucking Lena Dunham. Be like, we're the Smash.
They already made a female Hulk in like the 70s, something like
Yeah,
that.
they have a She-Hulk, but what it is they would just replace the original Hulk with the female, and they would just call it Hulk.
Yeah, we gotta
Have She-Hulk.
feminize all things. You know, it's sexist if all of them aren't women. That's what they're trying to say.
By making Wonder Woman a male. You know, that's what we're gonna do. We gotta make Wonder Woman Wonder Man. You know.
Yeah, let's have this go both ways, and then maybe you'll finally sink into them how fucking ridiculous this is.
Exactly. They buy into the fucking propaganda culture. They're like, oh, they want to make a man wonder. They want to make a Wonder Man. That's sexist. We should boycott. This is social justice warriors. We're going to distract people with fucking nonsense and distraction and give you all fucking triggered by stupid shit.
Yeah,
That's how fucking retarded
you know,
they are.
you know the Wonder Woman is complete. Oh, sorry.
Snark.
Just make Wonder Woman a transsexual. Or I mean a transvestite.
Why not make it so
With a
fucking
beard.
politically correct?
With the beard.
Here's the thing about
make him/her accidentally use the lasso of truth on him/herself. That way we can figure it out.
But it also goes both ways, because the anti-SJW get really angry. Like they get angry when, like, say, Asians complain about how an Asian main character is replaced by a white person, and they're saying, you're just SJW, whatever. But then when you do the reverse of, like, you get a white main character, like say Thor, and you replace him with some Asian guy, you're gonna be like, that's just wrong. That's just racist or whatever. It's like,
well, sometimes replacing, an Asian character, like they created the character to be Asian in the first place, with a white person is really, really fucking bad casting. I mean, does anybody remember Dragon Ball Z Evolution?
Well, I mean, you saw
That
this
was
with,
that
that was
butchered
great,
Dragon Ball.
or what was
even
it?
Street Fighter.
What was that one? That was on Nickelodeon? Avatar. That one.
Oh, Avatar, yeah.
Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell, the casting they're doing for that.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, you saw it with it was Tilda.
At least be
Swinton.
honest to the original source content.
Yeah, Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, the Tilda Swinton character on Doctor Strange.
Strange. But she played it well.
It was originally the Asian. I forget which one, but it was an Asian character.
Yep.
But it was so like stereotypical that they switched it to a white woman, and then there was outrage because a white woman played a stereotypical Asian character. And I'm like, I don't even know. There's so many levels to this SJW stuff. It's like, I see where they were trying to make it right, but
well,
I mean, it was over the top.
It's got to add something to the character, you know?
Yeah, so this is why I think it's all right, is because in the comics, the Ancient Ones was very, very stereotypical Asian. Like they very very Asian. What white people think
they
Asians
drew
are.
on kind of Buddhist religion sort of thing when doing the comic. Is that what you're saying?
No, just very Asian depiction of what white people think Asians are, not necessarily how Asians really are. So they redid the character to have
squinty-eyed and short.
So when they have what's her name to replace it, they kind of did away with all the stereotypes, and it was just about the character. And I think that was good. I think they did it right, even though, yeah, it's not an Asian character. That's fine.
There's a lot of cases where switching the race or gender works. Like look at Starbuck from fucking Battlestar.
Battlestar.
That was a much better character than the original.
Yeah. And at first I was like, oh man, because I really liked Starbuck in the original, but I really liked the new Starbuck in the new Battlestar Galactica. So yeah, I like that. It works.
In some cases, it just doesn't make sense. Like when you're just doing it to make a political point and you're not trying to follow the story, I mean, you got to do it like within if it doesn't make sense.
They're trying to shoehorn in social justice warrioring.
Like Thor getting the
make sense to why it would be put there in the first place, and it has
like
no
Thor getting
relevant
the hammer.
value.
Thor getting the like switching to a female, that could I haven't read the comic or anything. I don't know how much it makes sense, but it could make sense because in the original comics, Thor wasn't a god. He was a man who had gotten the hammer and was transformed into Thor when he used it.
Yeah, but like they would have special. I don't know. It's hard. It's comic books. It's fiction. I think it's fine, whatever. But I think when you get culture into it, and not just I think there's a really good YouTube video on it. Like the trope of like the white person saving, like going to an Asian culture and saving them. It's like the Wall with Matt Damon, or Last Samurai. Even the one with Keanu Reeves, the one with all the like the Ronin type of stuff. Was it the
47
Ronin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and they also had a new one with like, it was a really bad movie. They had Jackie Chan in it. So it's I don't know. I feel like I just judge it by the movie, but when you talk to an anti-SJW, it's like you mention just the opposite effect, and they end up being the SJW of an anti-SJW. It's funny.
Exactly, Yvonne, they're both SJWs. They're both social justice warriors. They're just on opposite ends of the spectrum and just as dumb as each other.
Well, they're both ideologues. Then that's the issue. You know, they have these ideas about the world, and you know, God forbid you if you have different ideas.
I mean, you see it with with Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who. I'm a big fan of it, although I haven't seen the past couple of seasons because it's not on Netflix or whatever. So, but I've seen where they've taken a turn, and it's just it's like the Tumblr effect. It's like they got on there, they saw what the fans were saying, and they went with it, and it's like just going in this direction where it's just, you know, all about being socially and politically correct instead of being true to the storyline. It's like there's a way to balance it. You know, you can balance, you know, and that's like the thing. It's like, I'm white, but I'm so sick of seeing all white people. You know, I just started watching Under the Dome, and it's like they had like one character that was like of like Hispanic descent. She died off, and then they bring in another character that is like, I don't know, she looks like she's maybe like partially black or of some, you know, descent like that. So it's like, why can't we just have, you know, multicultural people all on a show? It's like, why? I'm so sick of, and even when they have black people on, it's like they're very light complected. Same with like
they're like those mocha black, like a black person that's been with a white family for a generation or two.
Black person on, you know, it's like why can't we have dark skinned people on TV? It's like, I'm white and I'm sick of seeing white people. You know, like let's mix it up a little bit. Let's have some, you know, but remember,
I really don't care about that. I think the worst trope is when the black or the Hispanic people, like, you notice any series or whatever that involves a good chunk of them, normally they never make it to the end of the series. Like, they always die in some fucking horrible way.
And like, you'll know when the like one of those minority characters are going to die is when another minority character comes on.
Yeah, like they can only be one.
So this is a good one, James. If this might apply to you. So Hawaii Five-0. If you guys weren't following, I don't watch Hawaii Five-0, but there's two Korean characters that are part of the show, and so this last season, those two characters that are main part of Hawaii Five-0, and because this place takes place in Hawaii, so you got to have some type of Asianish people. They just wanted the same salary as their other leads, the two white.
Oh, they killed off for sure in the series.
Yeah, so they didn't want more than them. They just wanted the equal salary as them, and the studio didn't do that. So they're not in the last season, and I think they got other like
They wrote in their death scene, or they do a death that's off screen or something.
Probably a surfing accident. Probably.
Yeah, you got attacked by a shark one day. We never saw him again.
But I mean, it's that borderline. It's like, okay,
I think that has more to do with the class warfare thing, to where we'll only give the certain amount of people these large chunks of money because they have sway politically and influence wise over the public for, like public perception. And then anybody will try to screw, whether it's a low end person doing a little, kind of standing in the side sort of thing. Or if,
So what I was trying to say is, okay, what is it a legitimate turn down? For example, you're not going to have two Asians in a main bulk of a show in the U.S. really, unless it's like Bruce Lee or someone. And so a lot of people who are saying, "Oh, you're just SJWs. They shouldn't be getting that much money because they're not in the show as much." But the thing is, they're not going to be in the show as much if you don't give them, stuff to do. So it's kind of like, well, they're screwed both ways. They're not going to make as much money because they're not going to be shown as much, and they're not going to be shown as much because they're not making enough money. Now, it would be a different situation.
That's kind of like getting on the debate stage. You can't get on there until you have enough votes, and you can't get enough votes until you get our polls. It's a
little different with Hawaii Five-0.
Okay.
I watch it. I think it's. Okay. I'm a little upset with how much that they have so many things where it's okay to be a policeman torturing people and stuff like that.
It's okay to be a brutal police officer.
Or the police going off and becoming international spies for occasional episodes. But the cast members, the first one to leave was Masaoka, who was of Japanese ethnicity. I felt that he wasn't being offered enough. The second one that left was the Korean. Two Koreans went next. But the reason they gave was the second build character, the one that plays Dano, gets to have every other episode, every third episode off, something like that. I don't know the exact schedule. Without a pay reduction. In fact, he's the second highest, I think, paid one on the scene, and he doesn't even have to be in every episode. And so the one that plays Jinho, is that correct? He wanted to do the same arrangement. He wanted to be available to go and try to do other spots and to maintain his salary with having some more time off, like the one who's getting a lot of time off, and he wasn't allowed to get any time off, and that upset him more than the pay. Was that one person could just ask and get as much time off as they want.
It's completely unequal treatment.
Right. And I believe that the number of cast members is not 2 to the left, but it's more like 5 or 6.
Wow.
Yeah, none of these guys that are actually playing any of these parts have any Polynesian in them at all.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Other than maybe something they smoke on a weekend.
I'm sure they're smoking Pakalola. There's no doubt.
I don't get why there aren't more Asians in film and in TV, because number one, Asians score pretty high on racial favorability tests. So it's not like the country hates them. Number two, like we're talking about California. Like, California, I think, has the highest Asian population in the U.S. So you'd think that there'd be plenty of people hitting up the studios and whatever,
I mean, can you name
aren't they the highest population in the U.S. because that's where the train tracks ended off way back when?
Redneck,
it's the boat.
Stevie, go ahead. I also have something.
I mean, can you name the last time that you saw a movie where there was an Asian lead character that got the girl? Anytime. Anytime where the Asian ended up with the girl.
Well,
Never. I cannot name you one.
I see. I know one series where the Asian got the girl, but he died in the next season, though.
So the Asian male characters aren't usually depicted in romance roles, but you see a lot of Asian women because Asian women are hot. You see a lot of white males, Asian women all the time, but you would hardly see like an Asian male with a white woman in any type of movie or show. It's very rare. But and a lot of characters that get cast into a lot of roles are usually half white, half Asian, especially females. They get a lot of parts.
Yeah, with like black people too. It's like they're usually a lot. It's like you have to be somewhat white. You have to look a little bit white in order to be on TV. And it's just like that's not a representation of.
You've got to be within 4 shades of white.
I mean, so can we just pass it off to just straight up racism then? It just seems to me that, we've got all these Asian people in the place where we make films and movies. Is it just racism, or
it's not just the Asians though. Maggie Gyllenhaal, I think 2 or 3 years ago, got turned down for a role in the casting because she would have played the love object for a Harrison Ford character who is 40 some years older than her.
Oh.
Thought, being in her 30s, that she was too old to play the love interest.
Whoa, wait. So they were just okay. So they're trying to push the idea that like a 60-year-old guy with a 20-year-old girl is perfectly fine.
No, she was supposed to be playing a 50-year-old woman.
Oh, and she looked too young.
She looked too old to play a 50-year-old woman.
How old is she?
At the time she turned it down, she was in her 30s.
Well, what the fuck?
Yeah,
50-year-olds are supposed to look 25 these days. So, I mean, oh God, this was what kills me about Hollywood. Please let your gut hang out. Let your wrinkles fly. Let your grays grow out. Let it happen, man. Let it go. Let your body go. Be a human being. Eat a cheeseburger. I don't give a shit if you
actually don't eat the cheeseburger.
I don't care. That makes
you're buying into the advertising.
I don't give a shit about this stuff. It's like, does anybody give a shit about this stuff? Do we really hold our celebrities to the standard of above perfection? It's not even perfection anymore. I mean, it's so much more past that, and this is what's pushed on us.
We need a fat, middle-aged superhero. That's what
I want to see a fat, middle-aged woman. And I want to see an Asian get the girl. I want to see like actual like real black people on TV. Like, why is this so hard? But I don't think it's like, I can't chalk it all up to racism.
It's polling. Maybe it is polling.
I think it's just people have personal biases. It's like these are the people that are put in charge of hiring people, and what?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
What's beautiful is what's similar to them and what they're used to. So it's like white people that are in charge of hiring black people. It's like, well, they're going to pick the whiter type. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're not going to pick those people.
See, I'm thinking it's like the old school like club somewhere in Hollywood or something. And because Asians poll badly or test badly in front of audiences. And it's not like because there's not enough people around to fill the roles. So it's got to be just some internal clique within the movie industry.
Well, also, if you think about it in a dark sense of humor way, the one time that the Asian guy got the white girl is in Walking Dead. And what happened to the Asian guy, Glenn? He got batted in
by a white dude, by a stereotypical white redneck.
Yeah, he got his head smashed in, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's oh god, that was fucked up. He's actually a good character in that series.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned redneck, I just want to point out that American Horror Story Roanoke can kiss my ass. Let me tell you, they went with the inbred cannibalistic redneck. Sorry, spoilers that are coming up. That's the storyline that they went with. But they threw in a little plot twist with they're also doing drugs. They show them sniffing like white powder. So it's like, oh, okay, they're meth heads. And they had like the meth, spots on their faces. So it's like, oh, okay, so you've updated the Appalachian stereotype. Fuck you.
It's basically.
But that's what they all do, right? Isn't that what they all do?
Oh my God. I mean, can you please, do something original? You're going to take basically Wrong Turn, mix it with a little bit of, what's that one that was shot, that was Blair Witch Project? It was like a little bit of both. And it's just like, then they pass it off as something original. Fuck you. Do something original. Maybe make the Appalachians maybe just toothless instead of just toothless inbred cannibalistic rednecks.
Well, you also got to think a lot of the movie industry, it's just complete. It's trash. It's meant to push forwards ideas that'll sneak into people's heads and to push forward. Like they'll pick up ideas that they don't even think about, and then they'll internalize them.
Propaganda.
They also put pigs into the storyline, so it was like
there is records of the government actually collaborating with them to produce movies for those exact goals.
They wore pig masks and stuff like this. There was a scene where there was two of these rednecks or hillbillies that were nursing off of a pig. So it's like they want to make us animals. They're trying to make us into animals. They want to make us into these people that you hate, and it makes me so furious. It's like we already have a bad enough reputation. Do you need to shit on us more? People already hate us. People already discount us. Why do you feel the need to go out of your way to make us seem more disposable than we already are? Like, it kills me. Fucking Hollywood.
Fuck fucking pedophiles.
So John Cho, another one for Asians, is he's the guy who plays Harold in Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, if you guys remember him. So he was in a show 3 years ago called Selfie, and it was okay. But basically, he's the Asian character. He's the lead, and basically another lead is a redhead white girl, and they start kind of being romantically involved, and that's when like they shut that show down. But it was like it wasn't liked by critics, but it was liked by the audiences. If you go to Rotten Tomatoes, you'll see audience liked it, but they just shut it down. So the only time like a male lead that's an Asian stays on air is if they know kung fu. if they know martial arts, they'll stay.
Okay, so the story of Bruce Lee, right, and the Green Hornet. That actually, that was probably the most historically correct part of that movie. Bruce Lee, Dragon, the movie Dragon that Jason Scott Lee did, was he actually kicked ass, and he was starting to take the show away from the white actor, with all his amazing gymnastics moves and technique, all that stuff, and then it was just the fucking crazy racism just fucked him up, man. That guy Bruce Lee was awesome. There was a lot. They
made him wear that mask because of it too. Bruce wanted to take that mask off, and like keep wearing it. We don't want people to really realize that you're Asian.
Kung Fu, in the movie Kung Fu. Remember, you guys? I don't know if you guys remember. I know Snork does.
The show?
Yeah, the show Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Back with
James Carradine.
Yeah, it was supposed to be fucking Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, his first U.S.-made movie, Bruce Lee, which is Enter the Dragon. Of course, he had to share the main lead with like the white actor. So they couldn't just have him be the hero. He had to share the spotlight, even though he took out the bad guy, the main bad guy.
And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because it's like Asians can't have a show or a movie unless it's about kung fu, unless they know like some kind of martial arts. And you see the same thing with like body types. if there is a woman that is plus size, bigger woman, she either has to be super funny, or it has to be a movie or a show about her being fat. There was one, I think it was on Lifetime, it was Drop Dead Diva. It had to be about the fact that why can't she just be a person? Why can't these people just be people? It's like, but they have to play up to that stereotype of, I know martial arts, or this is about me and my body size, or, whatever. It's like, can't it just be a story about a person? I just don't get it.
All right, everybody, have a good night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Listen, guys,
good
I
night.
gotta go.
Oh, shit, we're shutting down. Sorry.
Sorry
Night,
about
y'all.
that.
Everybody, love you all.
Yeah.
Have a good one. You guys take care.
All right.
Thanks
See
for
ya.
hosting, James.
Thanks, James.
Oh, no problem.
Thanks again, James. Great.
Sorry I came on late.
Oh, that's okay. You have nothing to worry about.
Okay. Aloha, brother.
Aloha. We love you.
Love you. All right, good show. Lots of good stuff in the beginning. We talk about all kinds of stuff. So we're not just a political group of people. We talk about things. We're like a bunch of friends hanging out, drinking beers, and sometimes we are. But I'm telling you, if anything politically moving around in the world, we're catching it. We've got those resources. We have independent resources. We've got, let me just give you a few. Jimmy Dore, H.A. Goodman, Zune Politics, Jamal, that's Holly Zellweger, Jamal Thomas, Soapbox, Progressive Soapbox. I even listened to Steve Grumbine, definitely same progressive, Debbie. Tim Black, Nico House. These are the people that we're getting a lot of information from. Of course, we'll go on MSNBC. Of course, we'll go on Fox every once in a while. Of course, we'll go on CNN every once in a while. Al Jazeera, RT for sure. And we'll even jump on TYT every once in a while as well. I mean, the list goes on. But we are very, we have our opinions. We have our perspectives. I think we're pretty spot on a lot of the times. And I think the general consensus out there isn't what I think the fat cats see. I don't think they're in tune. Like, for example, the NFL. The NFL is a great example of not being in tune with the public, not being in tune with those that want to see that are the majority of people are perfectly okay with people using that arena or that marketing aspect in a sense, or that place to where there's probably one of the biggest forums out there for somebody to get out a message of police brutalizing the minorities, especially blacks. To over 12, or was it 1,600, or over 50, over about, I think it was 1,300 people in 2016, most of them black, were killed by police officers. And that number is very similar the year before, very similar the year before. And it's just gotten worse, actually, over time. And somebody decided to do something about it, and he risked his job, Colin Kaepernick. But I think the rest of the world understands that. They're tired of the police state. They're tired of the rigged elections. They're tired of no health care. They're tired of infrastructure not spending. They're tired of the lack of jobs and pay. We shouldn't be at $12 an hour, fucking stupid ass Hillary Clinton. We should be at $15 or $17 an hour. It should be norm. People need to be able to live. People need to be able to take care of their families. People need to be able to put a house, put a roof over their heads, and provide food, nourishment food, real food. The resources out there for people to get this kind of information is out there. The stuff that we're watching, the stuff that we're paying attention to. The WikiLeaks. If you are, or if you believe that WikiLeaks is fiction, then I'm going to tell you right now, you're being lied to. And the facts on WikiLeaks is they've never had to retract, apologize, or remove anything from anything they've published. WikiLeaks is a news source, and the only honest, in my opinion, news source that I've ever mentioned. Democracy Now! Has changed in the wrong direction. Stephanie Miller definitely gone to the center right with the neoliberal Democrats, Hillary Clinton. Randy Rhodes used to be great. Tom Hartman also used to be great, but Randy Rhodes just fucking, God, what a hillbot. My God, it's terrible. You know, she was in the Air Force. I used to listen to her all the time. Also, Tom Hartman. Tom Hartman, I think he means well, but for some reason he's just following the wrong scripts. He's going in the wrong direction. I mean, I don't know where they're getting their resources from and how they're able to do what they keep doing. And they still have their following of people that are going to follow them. But we don't. We're the unaffected. Okay? We're the people that actually do the due diligence. We're the people that actually do our research. We source, fact check. We will talk to the horse's mouths. I will call a senator or a representative, city, state, council member, on up to wherever I can to get my information from the horse's mouth. A lot of people don't do that. Okay. Finding the time to do it, that's the thing. People want to watch Hawaii Five-0 and the new Star Trek and Hawaii Five-0. What the fuck, man? You never, like there's not any Polynesians out there that could play a part on Hawaii Five-0. I mean, give me a break. Fuck. It's just sad. And see, Steve was saying, and all of us were saying, there's to fit the parts that have already been laid out over time needs to change. In the media, and there's just theater. But if you were to go into certain areas of the country, I'm not going to name some, and you might even have some theater some actors that aren't all white, and they aren't all a certain ethnicity that they should be for the part. But my God, I've seen some people play some parts in some local theater that are not white, don't really fit the general description of the character. But man, when you watch them act, and in a small theater, or town theater, or college, or community college, or even a regular college, you see these people acting, they hit it. It's not about the color or where they're from anymore. We can't be concerned about that crap. We need to start taking care of the resources we have, like our Mother Earth, our water and all that good stuff. Anyway, me, I just babble, but sometimes it kind of makes some sense. Thank you all for coming on tonight. We really want you just to do what you can to be smart about who you vote for and why you're voting for them. And when you do vote in the future, I think it's important that you foresee the future by looking at their past and what they truly stand for. Is it something that they're going to do to help you? Are your kids going to be able to play in the oceans and the rivers and eat healthy food or breathe healthy air or drink healthy water with these types of people in office? You need to think about that. That's because you can't have a life if you're sick all the time, which some politicians don't care about because they're backed by Big Pharma. And I can go on and on and on and how corrupt our supposed political leaders are at this time, but they're just bad. Like I said, we need to clean house. These two parties are just they're not doing it for us. They're not helping you. They don't give a shit about you. They don't. And sadly, the Green Party, I mean, come on. I've invited all of them to come on this show. People have asked them they're just non-existent. They're nowhere in the independent media. I don't see them going on anywhere or even trying to. Talk to these people, but they I don't get it. It seems like they don't want to be seen. Then they need people that want to be out there. Fuck, I'll go run. I was thinking about running in Anaheim in the 5th district, which I know a lot of people in Anaheim, you know, pretty well connected. But besides that, we've got a lot of fixing to do. And in the direction that this nation is currently going, and the planet for that, we're not going to make it. We need a serious new direction because we're not evolving as a species and this planet is dying. So if we don't start doing the right things now, yesterday, a year ago, it's just not looking very good. Anyway, thank you all again for coming. This is Monotalk. This is Jim Young. Good to have everybody on tonight. It was a great show. Yes, we talk about all kinds of cool stuff, but that's just what we are. Take care. Aloha. Aloha.